Fonda, India, or one of y'all gonna let everybody in?
Yes, just did.
Thank you.
Okay, good morning. I'm seeing some people joining, so I guess yeah, good morning. Good to see you all. Thank you for joining so much on this Friday morning. Very fall here in the DC area. I guess I'll just give it a minute just to let anybody else that might trickle in say like get in. I guess while we're waiting, where's everyone joining us today? Like just you can just type in the chat like where you are. Me, to start off, I am in obviously DC, but I'm also from DC, so that's not surprising in both scenarios.
Sorry, I think the chat is disabled.
Oh, okay, no problem. I guess then I think we have a good amount of people, so I'm gonna just go ahead and get started. So, good morning, everyone. I just want to say on behalf of SGA, Student Government Association here at MSB, it's an absolute pleasure to, welcome you. And, I'm excited about today's event, focused on community and impact, empowering every voice in business. Thank you for showing up. We are super thrilled to have such a diverse and accomplished group of prospective students, allies, and partners to Georgetown. Um, or Georgetown MSB, which stands for McDonough School of Business. And when I say MSB in the future, I just say that as a shorthand, so as it's a bit of a mouthful. So as you can see, I'm Falahon Akiami, but everyone here at Hilltop calls me Fola. It's kind of like cola with an F. I'm a full-time 26 MBA student, meaning that this is actually my last year here on the Hilltop, at least as a student. So it's a little bittersweet as I've enjoyed my time so much here. I'm a proud member of SGA as a VP of Finance. I'm also a VP of Finance for Black MBA, a Consortium Fellow, a Student Ambassador, and a few other roles here at MSB. And I'm just one of the amazing Hoyos that you'll meet today. So I'm honored to kick off this important event. And to start off, I want to talk about the name of the event, which is Deeply Intentional Community Impact. It's our mission today to let you guys know that these aren't just buzzwords, but they're actually the foundation of what we do here at MSB. I think it's a part of Georgetown's identity. Over the next few hours, you'll get to experience a mock class, hear from incredible alumni, staff, and faculty, and then also engage in sessions that bring one of Georgetown's missions to being people for others to life. As you go through today, I really want to encourage you guys to look beyond just the schedule and try to actively discover and understand a few critical elements of the McDonough experience that I want to share. I would say first off, just embrace the vastness of our global diversity. Here at MSB, you'll find that there's countless opportunities to engage with people who aren't just from the same area as you, not just even a different state, but different country, different culture. It's really a melting pot of perspectives that make MSB a better place. And that's from experiencing our upcoming Global Fest to Diwali to just so many different affinity clubs and cultural clubs that we get to experience. I would say that this diversity is amplified by the power of proximity, meaning that like our location in DC, and I am from the DC area, so I'm a little bit biased, but is one of the best in the world. And I would say that our location is not just tangential. It actually kind of informs our curriculum, our careers, our community. But it also helps us focus not on just doing well, but doing good, something that our dean likes to say a lot. Doing well and being like, yes, go ahead, do well for yourself. But I think it's also important to do good, as in be good for the world, not just for yourself, but your community. Whether you're focused on policy, finance, consulting, entrepreneurship, whatever field you are, doing well and doing good. But I think crucially, all this is built on the depth of our support. Today, you will see that this community is designed to empower every voice in the room. Our support system is high touch, running from the Career Center to the curriculum, all the way through the incredible student clubs. This creates a foundation where your ambition can meet what your passions. So we're looking for leaders who aren't just chasing the next opportunity, but who are actively building businesses, solving real problems, and leading change with integrity. So I'm sure you're all wondering why I chose Georgetown. I was in similar shoes to all of you as I explore the next steps of the path. Like many of you, I came with a solid professional foundation. I worked across the board in public accounting. So I was doing taxes, I was doing auditing, I was doing bookkeeping, I did everything. I'm a licensed CPA, and I was starting to move into middle management. And I reached a fork in the road where I saw, my seniors and my peers, and I was like, I could do this for the rest of my life. This is a solid, stable career, but it didn't feel the right fit for me. And I think I wanted to continue to pursue the passions that I had in life. I recently started my own accounting business that's right here in the DC area that focused on serving small businesses and young professionals, helping them fortify their financial foundation. I was confident in my accounting skills, but I desperately needed a clear vision for how and why I was going to continue to grow and become a leader in the space. I knew business school was for me, as I wanted to pivot away from public accounting and focus on careers that really kind of aligned with my passion and where I wanted to interact with not just people, but I wanted to also interact in that cross section between people and finance. So, think careers like venture capital, financial consulting, maybe like a fintech startup. But I wanted to do all that while I continue to grow my business. So I wanted a program that could handle that kind of ambition, but would also support me as I tried to make a positive impact on the community I serve, and not just focus on the bottom line. Not just one that invested in me, but one that I could take an active role in investing in the community while I built the skills that would serve me well past the time of graduation. Ultimately, I chose Georgetown because it was the only program that I found that could perfectly balance my professional goals with deeply rooted ethical mission that I had. This is where my desire to be a successful business person, entrepreneur, VC, whatever, met the call of being a person for others. The resources, the DC network, the diversity of the cohort, and the high touch support showed me that here at MSB, you never have to choose between profit and purpose, but rather there's something that complement each other. So now that you know a little bit about me and my thoughts on MSB, I encourage you to use today to be curious, ask the candid questions, and connect personally with the students, staff, faculty, and alumni you meet. We are so glad that you're here. Now, let's get this incredible day started as I pass it on to our Associate Dean of MBA Admissions, Ann Kilby. Welcome to McDonough.
Yay, welcome to McDonough. Thank you, Fola. Appreciate you kicking us off for this special day. So Fola, as you get the sense, is a student leader here, a great representative of what we stand for at Georgetown McDonough. So really appreciate him kicking us off. So first of all, I want to ask you all, if you feel comfortable, come off camera. Let's see each other. Let's engage with one another. If you're in your pajamas, just angle your camera to where it's just your face. But would love to see you. So please feel free. Crystal, you get a gold star for being the first brave person. Awesome. So hi, good morning. And based on the chat, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, based on some of these time zones. So you all have already in chat shared where you're dialing in from. I'd also love to hear where you are in the admissions process. So tell me if you've applied, if you've interviewed, if you're planning to apply, and also which program, full-time, flex, the part-time MBA, or the flex online. So feel free to put that into chat just so we can get to know each other a little bit more. Awesome. Great. It looks like Yeah, you all are applying or applied. Mixture of programs. Good. Okay, we'll keep that rolling in. So again, my name is Ann Kilby. I'm Associate Dean for MBA Admissions. So thrilled to welcome you here today. This is our first major event of the admissions season. It's an annual event we host every year, and I'm just so excited. So a little bit about me. This is my 17th year in higher education. It's all I've ever done. I'm extremely passionate about higher ed and how it can transform a person and their trajectory and their quality of life and their own development. So really passionate and feel privileged to get to play a part in that journey for you all. Of those 17 years, I've been at Georgetown McDonough for 8. Yeah, 8. This is my home, and I hope you get a sense through me talking about Georgetown why I have that passion. Okay, so first I want to talk about this event that we're doing today. So focus on community and impact. The purpose of this event is to really help you get a better feel for who we are at Georgetown. So we're going to showcase different perspectives. We're going to showcase folks from the career team, current students, different admissions committee members, highlighting our global initiatives. We want you to come away feeling more informed and hopefully more connected to who we are at Georgetown. So first, I want to talk about our 3 distinctive advantages for the MBA program at Georgetown, and then we're going to go a little bit more big picture beyond the MBA. So the first distinctive advantage for the MBA at Georgetown is that we are a truly global program, and that is multifaceted. So what I mean by truly global is your community. About 45% of your MBA cohort is international. You should expect 40 plus countries represented in your cohort as well. And about 3/4 of you have already lived, worked, or studied abroad. Now, just take a moment and think about what that must feel like in a classroom setting. All of these different perspectives coming from all of these different economies, government structures, locations, cultures around the world, and how rich of a discussion that makes in the classroom. And then through the curriculum, every MBA student, full-time flex online, participates in something called the Global Business Experience. This is a required international consulting project. You do it in a small student team where you're working with a real life international client. We source all of these projects and we make sure there's diversity in terms of consulting type, so human capital consulting, supply chain consulting, technology consulting, et cetera, as well as diversity of location, as well as diversity of industry and company type. So you're going to have some Fortune 500 companies, you're going to have some mom and pop, some smaller firms. So you get to influence in making that selection. And then it truly is a highlight of the program. So when you graduate from Georgetown McDonough's MBA program, you have guaranteed international consulting experience. So that's our first distinctive advantage, is that we are a truly global program. The second distinctive advantage, and this is really a nice segue, is that we are based in Washington, D.C. So Washington, D.C. is one of the most global cities in the world. Not only do we have the federal government, but we have about 150 embassies. The World Bank, the International Monetary Fund is here. We have the highest number of Fortune 500 companies per capita in DC. It's DC, not New York, as many think. We have many corporate headquarters here. So to name a few, Nestle, Capital One, Fannie Mae, Hilton, Marriott, Amazon, just as a sample. So what that means for you all is access to these employers, access to this diverse environment, this landscape where we're in the middle of, access to where policies are being made, government action is happening. And then, so that's our second distinctive advantage. We're based in Washington, D.C., and what that means for you in terms of employer access and that rich landscape. And then the third distinctive advantage for the MBA is our values-based community, culture, and curriculum. So you all might already be aware, but we're the oldest Jesuit institution in the United States. We're about 250 years old. So as part of our founding, we were founded as being a values-based institution. One of the many Jesuit traditions is community and diversity. And I'm so proud that that is one of our philosophies because it helps us maintain that outlook and furthering that mission and having a community and diversity. And so what that feels like as a community of people is the people who are typically drawn to study at Georgetown share a value of being service-minded, wanting to do good in the world, and specifically at the business school, using business as the tool to do so. And it creates this really beautiful culture of people who truly care about one another, making a positive impact in the world. And so on a daily basis, I see students tutoring one another, sharing interview questions with one another. It's truly collaborative. It's not the stereotypical US business school culture that is more competitive, cutthroat. If that There are so many business schools and so many people that thrive in that environment, but that is not us at Georgetown. And honestly, because of the culture we have here, it's something that makes me feel so attached and makes me so proud to represent this program and this school. Now, zooming out from the MBA program, I think it's worth acknowledging there have been so many changes in the world the past year, the past 5 years. We've seen the rise of generative AI. We've seen major climate disruptions. We saw the harsh reality of healthcare in the face of a global pandemic. There have been political shifts, policy changes, economic impacts. These are complex challenges that touch every industry, every country, every person. The world is changing, and it's important that we change with it. As an institution, we as individuals. So that's one of the reasons I'm sure you're attracted to going back to school, and specifically at Georgetown, is you want to upskill. You want to be ready. You want to evolve. You want to make sure you're equipped and you're competitive for this changing world. So I'm pleased to share, if you weren't already aware, those of you who are aiming to start the program in fall 2026, which I imagine is most of you, you are going to get our new curriculum. So our new MBA curriculum, 18 months worth of research went into redesigning it, where we had student focus groups, alumni surveys, employer conversations. We used a bunch of external data from GMAC, for example, to be really thoughtful and intentional with our curriculum design. So I want to highlight some of these new curriculum changes to get you excited about what's in store for you. What we learned through our research is that the MBA program, it's a saturated market. There are a lot of MBA programs out there, not just domestically, but around the world. So it's really important we focus on our distinctive advantages. And that is around ethics and leadership, communications. And those are core topics that we have pulled up in the curriculum at first topics that you address in the program, really setting the tone for helping you make good choices, make ethical choices, really practice your leadership as you move through the curriculum. The curriculum is also much more focused on career and skill development. So, for example, for full-time students who will be going through recruitment pretty early on in the program, you are going to get to determine the sequencing of your core courses based on your recruitment needs as early as your first mod, your first semester. So that you can, if you're interviewing for a firm where you feel like a certain skill is needed, you can go ahead and take that skill, learn that skill with us in the program. So our electives are going to offer much more personalized options based on your career path. And then another big change is the significance of AI and analytics in the curriculum. It's embedded throughout the curriculum and is a main part of the core. In your opening term, you're going to take a course on the responsible use of AI. And our goal is that all of you are going to graduate as data and AI savvy individuals. So those are just some sneak peeks on the new curriculum coming for you. I'm really excited. I think it is so smart that we have listened to various audiences to inform this decision. Okay, now to zoom out even more, ultimately, we hope that you graduate from Georgetown and your capability to do well. Financially, we want you to do well. We want you to do well in your careers. We want you to do good. As I mentioned, we want you to make a positive impact. We want you to do good in the world, and we want it to be global. I think there's no doubt that we live in an interconnected world, and it's very obvious that what we do has global impact. So do well, do good globally. And so, as Fola mentioned, our dean loves that expression. He uses it often because I think it really emanates our values here at Georgetown at McDonough. And so, staying on the theme of our dean, so Dean Paul Almeida, he's the dean of the business school of McDonough School of Business. And I think it's important to share with you all some of his vision that he has for the future. So far in our conversation, I've talked about the distinctive advantages of the MBA. I've shared with you the vision around the new curriculum that's going to be coming to you next fall. And now I want to share with you the bigger vision, the longer vision that our Dean Paul Almeida has. So as you are a student here, you're going to already be reaping those benefits of that vision coming to life, but also you can better understand the direction that the school is headed. So a few years ago, Dean Paul Almeida established Fields of the Future, is what he called them. And they help us keep sights on what's next, staying true to ourselves and our values at Georgetown, but really taking advantage of what McDonough is specifically poised to do because of our strengths here. So the Fields of the Future, there are 4. And I think you'll start to see a connection between these fields of the future and already the work that we're doing at Georgetown McDonough, including our focus areas in the curriculum. So the first field of the future is AI analytics and the future of work. So we want to make sure that we are poised to capture how AI, data, and automation are reshaping business and the workforce. The second field of the future is the business of health. So addressing these urgent challenges in healthcare systems, integrating cross-disciplinary expertise, equipping the current and emerging leaders to innovate at the nexus of business policy and health. I think we learned one of the takeaways from the pandemic is that that was not just a health issue. The ripples of the pandemic across the economy, the government, supply chain. I mean, there was so much within that moment. The third field of the future is business of sustainability. So sustainability has been a core area of focus for Georgetown McDonough for some time. And I really appreciate that this is a declared field of the future. We really want to play a role in empowering firms to reduce risk, to create long-term value while driving solutions to environmental changes. And then our last field of the future is sports business. This is the newest of the fields of the future. This one is more forthcoming than the others. The others, I feel like we've already made good progress. So this is where we can marry the passion for the game with a values-based approach. So we're going to challenge folks to see how sports intersects with business, not just as a platform for change, but as a new and rapidly growing market. And we're fortunate that with these 4 fields of the future, we have great alumni, faculty who are already supporting these initiatives and who are excited as well. So we know, these concepts are complex. But as a reminder, our approach is simple: do well, do good globally. Okay, so with that, that's the end of the opening remarks. Hope you all feel really energized now to move forward with the rest of the agenda for today. So we're going to shift now to the next session. So for those of you who have joined since we did our original opening, welcome. So happy to see you. It's never too late to put in chat where you're dialing in from, where you are in the admissions process, which program you're applying for. All of that is welcome information. Okay, so should we move into the next session?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so this next session, I'm going to tag team it with Rhonda Remy, our Director for MBA Recruitment and Partnerships. And so she and I are going to divide this session. And the theme of this session is empowering every voice in business. So the goal of the next 30 minutes is we want to showcase to you what makes us a diverse community, so it contributes to that, whether it's the scholarships we have, some of the curriculum aspects, co-curricular aspects, partnerships, to give you a sense of not only resources, but what really defines our community. Okay, next slide, please. All right. So as I mentioned, when we took a step back and thought about the history of Georgetown being the oldest Jesuit institution in the United States, one of the Jesuit traditions that I shared is community and diversity, and that's been our North Star. So we continue to have that mission, that goal of bringing a community and diversity on the admission side, and then once you all are current students, really embracing that community. And so you can see there's some pictures there which really showcase, humanize our community here. And so something that's worth sharing is when we think about our community, one way that you all are engaging with us is through student clubs and organizations. So we have over 50 for our MBA students. They're divided into 3 types. They are professional, so like consulting club or finance club. They are affinity related, like Georgetown Women in Business or National Black. And then they are social, networking oriented, like Wine Society or Adventure Club. So the hope is really that there's something for everyone and that you can find your people. You can also explore curiosities by joining these groups. I also want to share how our spirit of Georgetown has come through other university initiatives. So the first one I'm going to talk about is called the Pivot Program. So the Pivot Program was designed, goodness, maybe 2 years ago is when it started. And this is a McDonough-wide initiative, not MBA specific. So to give you context, the United States has the highest incarceration rate of any country in the world. And not only that, but we have that really high rate of return of people who are finished their prison term or released and then end up going back to prison. So Georgetown McDonough, as I shared with our Fields of the Future, felt like we were uniquely poised based on our values, based on our strength to do something about this. So we created the Pivot Program. The Pivot Program is about a year-long program for recently released, formerly incarcerated individuals to help them successfully transition into society. They are taught different subjects, different disciplines to equip them, to give them the skills to contribute to society in today's world. And actually, a lot of them end up being hired by Georgetown afterwards, but we also help them with career services to get them job placement as well. We really build their confidence, create a community of people, give them support. So that's one example. Another example, this is MBA related, and many of you actually might want to participate in this when you're current students, is called Small Business Corps. This is a program that started last year, And this is where local DC, Maryland, Virginia, so DMV, small businesses can apply for basically MBA student support. So what I mean by that is you all are doing consulting work for these small businesses. We try to target small businesses that are under-resourced in some way. And these projects could be, you know, helping them have a HR platform that helps them manage their people more effectively, or helping them with their e-commerce website, or it could be helping them better market or better identifying their niche area. You know, it's a variety of project types, but it's extremely fulfilling for students because you all are able to see the impact of helping a local small business who otherwise wouldn't have access to that kind of support make real change. So Small Business Corps is another way that we demonstrate our spirit of Georgetown. And the last one I'm going to highlight is called Social Impact Fund. So you all, as if you are a full-time MBA student, you have a required internship between your first and second year. It's built into the curriculum. It's required of everyone. And people choose a variety of internships, variety of industries, because it's all meant to help work towards your career goals. Some of you are going to end up taking an internship that is unpaid, perhaps with a nonprofit or an organization unable to pay. We have something called the Social Impact Fund, where you as students who are earning an income over the summer can choose to donate a portion of your income to this fund that is then redistributed to the students not earning an income. So that is a way that we support and care for one another, and all volunteer-based. Okay, there's a lot more I could talk about on the spirit of Georgetown, but I think I've given you enough examples for now to give you an understanding. So we can move to the next slide. Okay, so another way that we can demonstrate our how we recruit and support diverse communities is through scholarship. So on the MBA website, we have the full list of scholarships. There are probably like 20 of them. So this is just a very small sample of 4, but they're to showcase different audiences that would benefit. So first of all, those of you who applied in early action, you likely are already aware of this because it's a huge incentive to apply in early action, but in case you're not, you will be considered for the Dean's Fellowship. The Dean's Fellowship is our most comprehensive scholarship that we offer for the MBA program. There are benefits that are monetary, but also networking, also academic. So you're going to get to have a special master's class with one of our faculty. You're going to get to have dine with the dean. You're going to have a stipend for an affinity conference through the career office. And then you get a minimum scholarship award of $25,000. And who is selected for the Dean's Fellowship? These are high merit. And merit we define across academic merit, professional merit, as well as your unique contributions to our community. The second scholarship to highlight is Women in STEM. So science, technology, engineering, or math. And so women who have either studied in a STEM area or practice in a STEM area. McDonough MBA Alumni Advisory Council, MAC. And this is our alumni board, essentially. They're our advisory council, and they choose, the alumni choose candidates to award recipients of the scholarship award, and their criteria is those who have made social impact and have a commitment to global diversity. The last one to highlight is our Pathway Scholarship for first-gen students. So in the MBA application, you might remember we asked the question, are you first generation or not? And we look at those individuals to see how we can uniquely support them in their journey. So again, if you want the full list of scholarships, please go to the website. But really, I hope the takeaway here is we walk the talk, and that we offer money to really ensure that we are doing what we can to enhance our global community, our diverse community here at Georgetown. Next slide, please. And then lastly, before I pass it over to my colleague, Rhonda Remy, want to highlight the organizations that we partner with. So these are all external organizations who are mission-based organizations who we really align with in terms of this mission orientation. From a big picture standpoint, these organizations are open to all. So they might have, for example, Reaching Out is for individuals who are self-identified LGBTQ+ or allies. And so each of these organizations has a way to be inclusive and open to all. Let me talk through a couple other examples. Prospanica, so that's for those of you who are members of Prospanica. Similar to National Black, to be eligible for these fellowships, which I need to talk to you about that. You're a member of these organizations first. So if you're curious about Prospanica National Black, please go to their website, see how to join to be a member. It's a very simple process. And then if you are a member, we can consider you for a scholarship associated with those organizations. Prospanica is focused on individuals who are Hispanic Americans and or allies, and so demonstrated efforts to that population as an example. And so with each of these partnerships, there are many benefits to this alignment. One is, reputationally, we support one another. At events, we support one another. It just builds a broader and deeper community and helps us ensure diversity. But also, practically speaking, we offer scholarships across these partnerships as well. All the money still comes from Georgetown, from the individual school, but you would be eligible for a scholarship if you meet their criteria. So the organization gets to choose the eligibility criteria, and then we're the awardees. So for example, I mentioned National Black and Prospanica. You're already a member of those organizations before applying, and then we get to consider you for a scholarship for them. AmeriCorps, their criteria is if you are an AmeriCorps alum, so you've done your service with AmeriCorps, then you would be eligible to be considered for a scholarship. So just wanted to showcase these external partners. We also have many internal partners, centers and initiatives like the Sear Center for Real Estate, with the FinTech Institute, with entrepreneurship initiatives. So there are many internal partners as well, but wanted to showcase these external ones. Okay, that's it from me. Really appreciate your attention. Again, I hope you're just getting more and more excited about what we're doing at Georgetown and the role you can play in our community. And now I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Rhonda Remy.
Hi, everyone. Again, my name is Rhonda Remy. I am the Director of MBA Recruitment and Diversity Partnerships here at Georgetown University. One thing I also wanted to mention from the list of partners that you saw, you'll have an opportunity to hear from some of their leaders in an upcoming session later on this afternoon, evening, morning, depending on where you're tuning in from. So you'll hear from, their leaders just to understand more about their organization, how to get membership into some of these organizations, and then how we partner with each other throughout your recruitment process, but then overall as a student and beyond. So I have the opportunity to talk about how, and we can go to the next slide, how we empower voices in various ways, but then also thinking about the importance of why we recruit such a globally diverse student population. The way that we introduce the global perspective into, for example, the curriculum, and I know Anne had a chance to mention it a little bit beforehand, but I'm just going to go a little deeper, is one, our Global Business Experience program. So this is offered to all of our MBA students, which is a consulting-like project where you're working with an international client from another country over a course that's around 6 to 8 weeks. And one of those weeks, you have the opportunity of flying, in country and presenting your findings to that company or client. So it's just not a course. It's some way how Georgetown lives out the idea of empowering every voice, meaning listening to, learning from, and collaborating with communities across the world. So the idea behind the GBEs, Global Business Experience, is just simple, but we want our students to take everything that they've learned in the program and in the classroom and apply it in a real world sense, and moving further on a global scale, right? So instead of just, the simulations that you'll have in the classroom, the case studies that you'll have to do, the lectures that you'll have to attend, this is actually put into practice. Some consulting skills for these international companies and organizations, helping them solve some of these real world business challenges. So for the GBE experience, you're working on a small team. Your students partner with these executives from these multinational organizations. Some of them are listed here on the slide. So that can be Uber, Citibank, Estee Lauder, Colgate, to name a few. But since its inception, more than 5,000 students have the opportunity to work on over 900 projects in over 27 cities across 5 continents. So that's just showing you our global reach. And what we do on the program side, and I say we, I'm not on the program side, I'm on the admission side, but I'm speaking for our program team. What we do is intentionally diversify the student groups. So your groups will have students that are coming from different industries, nationalities, backgrounds all together, just so that they can create creative solutions to whichever consulting project that you're assigned to. So typically in November, the project topics are released. I know that FOLA and quite a few are just like anticipating where they're going to go or the opportunities of where they can go. So the project topics are released, the locations are released, and the companies are released as well. And then you have a chance to rank. I think the program office does a great job of trying to get you within your top 3 choices. And then by December, you'll know exactly which project, which location, and which company you'll be working for. So the GBE experience is in your final semester of the program. So the second year, spring semester. And then what I do appreciate about the GBE experience specifically is that you start off by understanding local context and valuing the perspectives of that specific region, right? It's important to understand, your client before you actually give out your recommendations and understand the business problems that they're facing. So you do spend a lot of time in the beginning of the course to learn more about the city, the country, and understand a little bit more about the cultural nuances of that market that you're about to research and provide services for, right? So in your class, your faculty members, also have some experience or are from that region too. So they get a chance to share more about their business customs, communication styles, what can be impacting them on the social, political front before you start to work with your client. And what I do appreciate too is that there is a variety of project topics, right? So it could be marketing, related, finance, supply chain, strategy, real estate, entrepreneurship, e-commerce, to just name a few. For those I saw in the chat that are applying for our Flex programs, so our Flex online or our Flex in person, you do have to take off a week of work to be a part in the GBE. It's typically in the summer after your second year. So last summer, our students in our Flex Online program had the opportunity to work with Uber in Portugal, which is one of my bucket list locations to visit. So again, it's just not a course, it's an opportunity to actually put everything that you've learned into practice and leveraging some of these skills and opportunities on your resume when it comes to recruitment. So again, just to sum it all up, you're learning how to lead and how to be a subject matter in your area of expertise or area of interest, but then also pairing it with cultural intelligence, right? So again, learning more about cross-cultural communication, thinking about ethical ways to solve this problem that you're faced with, and then, you know, helping you with your negotiation skills, which you'll have to do a lot with your GBE and just in consulting in general. So just wanted to share like a story from one of our past student ambassadors. We just launched a new location, which was to Nairobi, Kenya, where our university has a research center in, and they had an opportunity to partner with one of their a large financial firm in the Kenya region working on digital inclusion for financial services. So what he did mention was that he approached the problem not just thinking about how he would solve a business model based off of his personal experience, but just having the opportunity to work with local entrepreneurs and other women-owned businesses within that region to better shape their final recommendation. And then also that company had great words, you know, of encouragement for our students, but crediting them and their work and their recommendation on how they were able to now reach new markets that they may have overlooked, right? So again, that global impact is embedded in this course and is the overall outcome. And one fun fact, as staff, we get a chance to visit and travel alongside the students. And one of my favorite parts of the role is being able to see students that have personal interests or a professional background in whichever area that their project is based in. But then seeing it come to life in a global scale is something that's just simply empowering for me as a staff to know that I am working with students that are just not thinking of their community here in the US or wherever your home country is, but just thinking about how all their work, their expertise can be placed on a global scale. All right. Just to spruce it up in the chat, I'm curious. I just mentioned my bucket list location and city is Portugal. So I'm just curious, what is your bucket list location that you would love to travel to? Japan, okay. Thailand, mine too. Awesome. Perfect. Awesome, awesome. So we can go to the next slide and you guys can keep on putting in your bucket list locations, because some of those locations are other opportunities where you get a chance to travel to. So the piece that is sometimes, you know, overlooked is our study abroad partnerships. So within your final year in the program, your second year of the program, fall semester, students have the opportunity to study abroad for a semester long at one of our current partners, right? So that is LBS in London, UK, to HEC in Paris, France, to Bocconi in Milan, Italy, Esade in Barcelona, Spain, Copenhagen, which is in Denmark, Buenos Aires, IAE in Argentina, and Hong Kong. And we've just introduced some other locations in Seoul, South Korea, with our Korea University Business School, and in Japan, right, Nagoya University of Commerce and Business, that was just released this year. So again, another opportunity for students to you know, develop their global perspective on how to handle business. You have the opportunity, and if you are interested in any of these study abroad partnerships, you should look to apply in your spring semester, in your first year, so that you can be approved for the fall semester of your second year. Awesome. And we can go to the next slide. And lastly, just treks around the world. While the study abroad program and the GBE program gives students the opportunity to like just travel and be immersed in the culture and just learn more on the global scale, our treks are often shorter, hands-on experience for our students to connect across all of our programs and industries and cultures around the world. I want to point out these two distinctive treks. So one is career treks, and we'll hear a little bit more from our career team right after this session. And our I-Treks, which are international treks led by students. So our career treks are coordinated by our McDonough Career Center, and it typically gives students a chance to visit companies across various industries and markets. They're able to travel to areas like New York, which is just a train ride away, 3 hours. I'm originally from New York, so I take that Amtrak train religiously. And then San Francisco, and then also to look at various companies in DC for recruitment. You have the opportunity to meet with some of these employers. And what's great about our alumni network is that we are in every single industry, but we also have a large and global network where we are able to ping or pair some students with for extra coaching or mentorship. And then various industry leaders. So some of the treks, the career treks specifically, touch on consulting, tech, finance, and more. So this is a great way for students specifically that, you know, they want to go into tech, but they're just trying to figure out which area in tech they would love to go into. So it's just giving them an opportunity and exposure to various career paths that they can take. So for example, happening right now, I believe, is our treks. So we have students meeting with various companies throughout the DC area. So that's World Bank, the International Finance Corporation, ExxonMobil, which is a large gas company, has a headquarters here in DC, Hello Wallet, which is a fintech company, and many more. We have a Wall Street trek happening right now, meeting with large financial organizations like JP Morgan Chase, Citi, Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, Wells Fargo, to just name a few. And then the consulting trek, which is in collaboration with one of our industry focus clubs. So the consulting club hosting, you know, an opportunity for students to visit major consulting clubs such as Deloitte, Bain, PwC, and Rios Partners, and EY. So sometimes our students are able to collaborate with the Career Center on various programming as well. So I mentioned career, but the second part is the I-Treks, which are student organized global experience, right? So this is where our students are designing these international trips focused on business and culture, but also giving students exposure to emerging markets, for example, right? So currently we have students on I-Treks to Cairo and Morocco, but in the past, we've had students form I-Treks to Japan, Turkey, Tanzania, Colombia, Mexico, and other parts of the world. So I truly appreciate the opportunity that it's led by students. And this is why we recruit with students with a global perspective, or we recruit in various cities around the world, is because sometimes, you know, the students that are leading these I-Treks are classmates that whose home country is, for example, Cairo, Morocco, or cities or Morocco, to share this culture and connection and firsthand insights. So again, if you are accepted into the program and if you are willing to lead us in an I-Trek, we truly love that, obviously, but then we also think it just ties it back to that global perspective, and something that, you know, we have highlighted, but also just thinking about how it empowers different voices in business and giving you the exposure to understand the various voices in business. So at Georgetown, like Anne mentioned, and Fola mentioned, our dean loves to talk about, doing well, doing good, but on a global scale. So we're not just building business leaders, we're building business leaders that have a great understanding of how business isn't just done in your home country or here domestically in the United States, but it's intersected with so many things and so many perspectives. And these are some of the ways that we develop our students to be leaders in that field. So I am so happy to have you all on the call right now. I noticed that a lot of shout outs to New York, so great to hear. I'm hearing some great cities or seeing some great cities in the chat, which is awesome. So, at Georgetown, you may have the opportunity to attend these cities just based off of all the opportunities that I have listed in these slides. So I will join a little bit later for another session, but I wanted to pass it along to Laura Venice, who is our Senior Director in the Career Center.
Thank you so much, Rhonda. Can you see and hear me? Okay, wonderful. Hi, everybody. My name is Laura Venice, and I am so excited to join you today for the next half an hour or so to tell you a bit about career services at the McDonough School of Business. So a bit about me before we move forward into learning more about the Career Center. I have been at McDonough for about 3 years, but I have worked in higher ed for more than 20 years, which is like embarrassing to say, wow, 20 years, right? That's a long, long time. But I just love this work so much. And I think I represent our team well because we are a team of student-centered professionals, and our collective mission is to help students achieve their dreams, particularly within careers. So we know that when students make the commitment and the investment to invest in their education by going back to school and getting their MBA, they're doing it because they want to change their career. I mean, put a little something in the chat if your intention for pursuing a MBA at this time in your life has a lot to do with career progression. Maybe it's an emoji, maybe you say, it's me, whatever you'd like to say in the chat there. But we recognize that it's a lot of time and money that you're taking to reinvest in your education, and we want to support you through that. So absolutely career progression. Thank you for sharing that. Advancement. Career advancement, maybe some career clarification as well. Maybe you want to change things up, but you're not exactly sure how yet, and you're really curious to explore. So I've worked in a few different universities. So I've been at Georgetown, now in the School of Business for 3 years, but I was at the School of Foreign Service as well. And I've worked at GW and Stanford in career services as well, the Stanford Graduate School of Business. And what I can say very confidently about the McDonough School of Business is we are entirely focused on your success on a lot of different levels. There's a level of making sure all students have foundational career knowledge, and that's my role as your Senior Director of Career Curricula and Communications. I want to make sure all students have a really solid resume, know how to talk about their brand, have an understanding of the options available in target industries and functions. And that way, when you meet one-on-one with someone from our team, and we'll get to that slide in a little while, you have the career confidence to make a tailored plan. Because everyone on this call and everyone who ends up in an MBA program at McDonough has a different plan. You might find you're interested in consulting, and so are a lot of other people, but you might be really passionate about something very specific like AI innovation or federal consulting or something having to do specifically with energy, and you want to relocate to Texas, and there's something there in a consulting firm for you. So everyone has their own unique background and goals, and what we do at the Career Center is help you put those two things together to come up with a tailored plan. So in my role, I help students on a broad scale in terms of programs and summer career curricula, and I'll tell you more about that in a bit. But I represent a career center of around 20 people who are all very, very dedicated to the success of our students. So let's move to the next slide and we'll talk a little bit more about the McDonough Career Center, and maybe one more slide as well. Thank you so much. So we're going to cover 3 main topics in our session today. I'm going to talk to you about the summer career curricula and onboarding. And what onboarding means to us is taking you from the admissions process where you've spent a lot of time and energy applying to an MBA program, evaluating your options, selecting the Georgetown MBA, and moving into not being a prospective student anymore, but an MBA student. So I help, and my team helps move you through that process so that when you start, you're already prepared. So in the summer, before you start your program, we walk you through a lot of steps so that you're either recruiter ready if you are a full-time MBA seeking a summer internship, or ready to seek promotional opportunities at your own organization or an eventual career change as a flexible online MBA student. We're also going to talk about career coaching and your personalized job search framework. So once you're onboarded, and again, that's my passion, is to get you feeling comfortable when you get started, you're going to have access to career coaches that you can meet with one-on-one. And during those one-on-one sessions, that's where really the rubber meets the road. That's where your goals become a plan, action and steps that you can take to get closer to what your goals are with the expertise and support from our team. And again, everyone will have their own specific and unique goals and backgrounds, and we help you put pen to paper to have your own specific job search framework. And then we'll also talk a bit about industry and function expertise, because I think that what makes the McDonough Career Center very, very unique is our full-time industry practice leads are not only student-facing and having one-on-one appointments with students, but they're also the key points of contact with our employers as well. So we can move to the next slide. All right, let's talk about the personalized job search framework. So you'll see 5 things here on your screen, and this looks a little bit different depending on whether you're going to be pursuing a full-time 2-year MBA or a more flexible online MBA. Regardless of which program is the best fit for you, we help you develop a career portfolio. Can anyone guess in the chat what they think one item might be in your career portfolio? And again, these are items that you would have ready to be shared with prospective employers. Who can name one item or artifact that you think would be in a career portfolio? What do we think that means? Can someone put it in the chat? All right, let's see here. I've just opened up the chat. Sorry, I'm operating on one screen. Yes, Clifford says resume. That's a really, really great response. Leadership initiatives, special skills, all of this is correct, yes. So a resume is a big part of your career portfolio. Cover letters, actually, I don't know when the last time you've needed to have a cover letter, but as a MBA student, especially in the full-time program looking towards a summer internship, you're gonna have to dust off those writing skills again and get a cover letter draft prepared. Also in your career portfolio might be a brand statement or a response to the prompt, tell me about yourself, that you can shift depending on who you're talking to. So we help you come up with a McDonough resume, which is in a standard format that is very, very MBA specific that our employers like. We help you come up with a cover letter draft that can be customized to the needs of your audience and what they need to see to prove that you are prepared to the task for their job. And branding statements, tell me about yourself, and a actionable plan for your career portfolio. And actually, all of this will happen before you even step foot onto campus or start your online classes. So that's something that we handle during the online summer career course that our incoming students gain access to the May before they start classes. Industry, function, and geography targets. Everybody is going to be thinking about where they'll thrive in their career and their best fit job or summer internship. For example, you might have a financial services industry focus, but you might want to work within a marketing function in that space. You might be from Washington, D.C., or from London, or from Miami, but you really want to relocate to the Bay Area. And everyone's going to have these different industry function and targets in terms of location. And we're going to help you kind of take that Venn diagram and figure out which companies and jobs are going to be the best fit for you and what you're looking for and your needs. You might have one plan in mind when you start your MBA and completely change your mind after taking a really inspiring class. And we're here to help you make that pivot as well. Target company list. So probably as you sit here, you can probably name maybe 10 companies that seem like really exciting to you. 10 companies that you're like, I'd really love to work there. Maybe it's like, I'd really love to work at NVIDIA or Google, or you're hearing in the news about different successful companies that are really impressing you with how they're handling their business. And then also there are going to be companies you've absolutely never even considered or heard of that we can provide inspiration for you to even have a list, not 10, but maybe 20 companies and organizations that you're targeting. And we're going to help you take that list, identify Georgetown alumni who work at those companies for networking purposes, so you can have coffee chats, Zoom meetings, learning opportunities to really understand what it is about that company that might be a good fit, or maybe it's not, and you'll discover that as well, and where there might be opportunities for you, either it's a summer internship or a full-time job. Because what we don't want is for our students to just be blindly applying to jobs online. We know it's not the most successful approach. It's like taking spaghetti, taking a bunch of it, throwing it at the wall, and seeing what sticks. Rather, we want you to be incredibly strategic, knowing which companies seem like a good fit for you, and approaching people at those companies to learn more out of genuine curiosity. The byproduct of that work will be positive for you. You'll be maybe referred to a role because you had a great conversation. You may learn language used at that company that you can then incorporate into interview responses. So you're showing alignment with how that company speaks. And so we're going to help you take what you think is your current target list and expand it. We have access to employers across channels, meaning we have technology. I won't bore you with the names of our platforms that we use here at Georgetown, but we have the ability to get you in front of employers in information sessions, recruiting sessions, interviews. We have a lot of employers come to our student club events. We have career days on Fridays throughout the fall. And you will have access to employers who have said, hey, I've been really successful at the McDonough School of Business the past 5-10 years in hiring amazing talent, and I want to come back and hire some more. And so that's what our team helps facilitate with our deep relationships with many employers across different functions and industries. It's busier in the fall for our second year full-time MBAs. Also, our third year flexible online MBAs become the equivalent to a second year full-time MBA in terms of looking for jobs, meaning when you're about to finish your MBA, you get access to full-time recruitment opportunities through the McDonough Career Center. I mentioned a bit about networking and how that's a part of your target company list and your strategy, and we're going to support you with that. We have tools beyond LinkedIn that you can use. LinkedIn is amazing, and we still recommend using that as well. We also have access to our alumni network through Hoya Gateway. And if you become a Hoya, you'll learn all about these networking tools when you get here. And if networking is a new concept for you, we know that not everybody has used networking before in their job search. So we understand that everyone's coming to this strategic approach from a different level of comfortability, and we want to make sure everybody feels really great. So if networking is new to you, we have sessions during orientation. We have you practice your tell me about yourself response. We help facilitate a lot of the networking by looking at maybe an outreach email draft that you're looking to use for a lot of reaching out to alumni before you get started. And we're here to support you. We make no assumptions that everyone is coming to their MBA with these skills and experiences. So we want to make sure we meet you where you are. So we can go to the next slide. This is our amazing team, and I know Nina is here joining on the call to visit with us today. She's an amazing alum of the MBA program and is one of our industry practice leads. And here's the rest of the team as well. I'm going to tell you a little bit about each of the folks on our team, but from a higher level, I want to tell you how our team is structured a little bit here. So I am on a team that supports our entire operation, and that includes the undergraduate program, graduate and executive programs, and then of course our MBA programs as well. And the team that you're seeing in front of you is just for our MBA populations. Our model for our MBA populations is that each of the people on the screen you see here, we call them industry practice leads. And they are the ones who would be meeting with students and also meeting with employers to deepen and develop those recruitment pipelines. So once you've gone through my summer career course and you attend some programs that are really interesting and some workshops, you'll also have access to individualized coaching. In addition to this team, we currently have 38 peer advisors. The peer advisors are second-year full-time MBA students who went through summer internship recruitment activities, were successful in how they handled their recruitment, and now serve as peer advisors for our students. They're also industry and functionally aligned. And we also have a handful of contract coaches as well, who can focus more on self-assessment or go deeper on some case practice if you're interested in consulting, and then some others as well. So this is our core team that supports MBAs. And then we have these tentacles of other teams like our peer advisors and our contract coaches that fill in to support. So we have a small, very specific team that is in charge of the MBA career coaching with a lot of support that surrounds that team. So on the screen here, we have Maureen. She is our assistant dean and leader of this fine team that you see on the screen here. She supports students who are interested in financial services and real estate. I know Rhonda was mentioning some career treks that our students are doing right now, actually. And so Maureen is in New York, helping students meet with employers within the financial services and real estate sector. We have Asha, who focuses on social impact careers. One thing that Asha is we're really excited about and proud of Asha for is deepening our relationships with the World Bank. So lots of meetings going on during this time as well with our alumni and executives at the World Bank Group. Really, what we're hoping for there is providing increased pathways for our amazing international students because it ends up being a really amazing option to stay in the DC area and have really impactful work. We have Sarah here. She focuses on the consulting industry. She does a ton of case prep, and she's just absolutely fantastic in helping students approach federal consulting and commercial consulting that they're interested in as well. We have Keisha. She focuses on lots of different industries. Marketing is her key functional area that she is helping students with. She's helping with consumer products, goods, manufacturing, transportation, and some others as well. We have Margot on the screen next, who is supporting our consulting function as well. Consulting is one of our top 3 industries that our students are interested in, and so we have lots of support there. And then Nina, as I mentioned, who's a fantastic alum of the program. She actually just started with us this week, so welcome to Nina. And she's going to be supporting, I believe, the tech sector in addition to others as well. So we have a really, really strong group. Everyone on the screen has experience in the areas that they're talking to students about and is constantly learning from employers what employers need, what skills does Google need right now? And then, Nina would learn that. And then in a meeting with a student would be like, hey, I heard from Google that this is what we need really shining on your resume right now. So it's a very collaborative, efficient model. And we can move to the next slide. I want to give you a little bit of data. We're updating these numbers right now to reflect the most current academic year. So what you see on the screen is from the academic year 2023 to 2024. But I can tell you, after looking at the past few years, the numbers stay pretty consistent. We had almost 400 employer events. We had 350 on-campus interviews, over 2,000 internship and job postings, and over 6,000 coaching appointments. And again, this is just on the MBA career team. We have a larger team that supports other populations as well. So I hope this shows you that even, with our small team and the support of our peer career advisors and also our contract coaches, we're getting a lot done. We're also nimble enough as a small team that we can hear ideas from students and implement them right away. One example of that is, in recent months, we really wanted to support our international students on a much higher level and provide more support there, considering what's going on in the marketplace right now for international student hiring. And so next month, we've organized a full week, International Student Career Week. We're having multiple sessions and getting really, really focused with our international students to say, okay, where are you right now in your career search? And what are some ideas that we can do to freshen your career search, to think about other options? And being able to add programs like that on the fly is because we're a small and nimble team and we always have our ear to the ground. So 6,000 coaching appointments, we're hearing what students are saying, and we're taking it quite seriously to provide a lot of different opportunities that students need right now. We can go to the next slide and see a little bit more data. So this is the class of 2025. So these folks just graduated in May, but the data you see is their summer internship that they had during the summer of 2024. And again, we're updating this information right now. So we'll have a brand new employment report that comes out in the next month or two. And that information will be really helpful for you as a prospective student. But what I can say, because I've had a peek behind the curtain, is it's looking good. And I think you can take a look at the data that you have on your screen here and consider that quite seriously. So this class of 2025, who had internships in 2024, had an average monthly salary of around $8,000. The top 3 industries at that time were financial services, consulting, and social impact, followed closely by technology. So you can get a sense here of the spread of industries. We'll see less volume in places like hospitality and healthcare and manufacturing and transportation and real estate, but we still do, and entertainment, but we still do have students pursuing summer internships in those areas. And for those on the call who are considering our flexible online programs. I know this will be less impactful for you, but hopefully seeing the industry spread is helpful for you in this time. And the next slide is actually more on full-time opportunities and outcomes. So we can move to the next slide and take a look at that, where you'll see the MBA class of 2024. And again, we are currently working on the most recent class outcomes, but I can tell you that what you see on the screen here is very helpful. So 88 or almost 89% of our students received an offer within 3 months of graduation. The within 3 months of graduation is a time frame dictated to us by an organization that we adhere by. So it's a really interesting thing. We want our students to have employment as soon as possible. A lot of students are getting offers from their summer internship, certainly, and then also within the 3 months of graduation. But even after that cutoff, we're hearing from students who are getting their job offers, you know, within 3 months and 1 day or 3 months and 2 days. But this is like a very specific data point we share. The average full-time salary for these graduates was $146,000 with a median of $148,000. It's important to consider that median full-time salary in this case. We have a great average signing bonus as well. And then you can see some salaries by industry. If it says insufficient data there, it's because we need 3 salary data points or more in order to report an average salary. But you'll see consulting was our top full-time employment industry for the class of 2024 with 36%, followed by financial services. And then you'll see a 3-way tie with consumer packaged goods, manufacturing, and technology. So these are really interesting statistics. We always see consulting and financial services being high. We had a lower hiring rate in the technology industry for the class of 2024 due to what was happening in the job market at that specific time. And we're seeing that come back a bit now. So hopefully this information is really helpful. I think what's important when you're considering outcomes data and when you're thinking about the places that you're considering to pursue your next educational opportunity is the data is helpful to know, absolutely. And you also want to see yourself within where do you fall into this, right? So some students who are considering consulting, right, and they're making $161,000 a year, you know, some of them came in with that plan and some of them discovered that plan while they were here as they were getting really excited about learning more about consulting through the club, through different opportunities that students have access to, learning from alumni. Whereas also we have students who did not even think about manufacturing and then went ahead and found like really exciting opportunities in that sector as well. So there's a lot of variety here, really strong salaries. I think the ROI is clear. And hopefully this is helpful data. And yes, please keep your eyes open for our next employment report, which will be coming out in the next couple of months. And then if we can go to the next slide. I believe this is my final slide before I turn the presentation back over to Rhonda. We've named this slide See the Possibilities. And I started this half an hour by saying, you're thinking about going back to school probably for career mobility, looking for a new job, career progression, you know, making your way into a new career goal. And these are some folks who saw that happen as a result of the Georgetown MBA. We have Anusha, who was in India working in legal services and moved into an internship and eventual job offer with McKinsey in DC. We have Ilman, who was at Cleveland Cliffs in Illinois, moved into Rios Partners and is now doing the Amazon Operations Pathways program, which is a really popular program for our alumni at Amazon. We have Riley, who was in the U.S. Army, took an internship at Bristol Myers Squibb and is now converting that internship into a full-time job. We have from our flexible programs, a ton of internal mobility where students maybe really love where they work, but they're hoping for more out of where they're working, and they're trying to upskill with their MBA in order to be seen as an asset at their current company. We also have students who decide to move on from their current company and find a new adventure as a result of their MBA as well. So the possibilities are endless. What I will say is what these three alumni had in common is they were incredibly focused and organized. They had a target list of companies. They did a lot of networking. They had a lot of learning opportunities that they created for themselves by coming to career center events, by getting involved in the student clubs, going on career tracks, taking advantage of their GBE, seeing everything that they were doing as a part of this long-term plan to get more career confidence and get closer to what that career goal was, to learn how to talk about the Amazon operations pathway, right? This is language you're learning in a new environment, and we're here to support that as well. I believe that's the last slide. Perhaps we can go to the next one and see if I maybe snuck in one more there. No, so that is the last slide for the Career Center. I hope this is helpful. I am going to go ahead and look very quickly into the chat while I have a couple of minutes left. And I'm seeing one question from the chat here that was a private question I'd love to share with the whole group about resources and opportunities for entrepreneurship. And I really love that question. I'm not sure if later you're going to be learning more about the entrepreneurship opportunities. So Rhonda, just interrupt me if that's going to happen later. But we do have a really strong entrepreneurship initiative. We have opportunities to become a venture fellow for our full-time MBAs. That means you're getting money to work on venture opportunities. We have things like Bark Tank, which is like Shark Tank, but Bark is cuter because we're Hoyas and we like bulldogs. And what I really love about our entrepreneurship initiatives is we have advisors. They're called entrepreneurship. What is it? What's the R? Something in residence. Oh, no, just entrepreneurs in residence. And our entrepreneurs in residence are experts with a lot of experience either in startups or working at tech companies, understanding what that world looks like and providing direct free advice to students who are really interested in learning more. What I will say about Georgetown McDonough is that entrepreneurship is within everything that we're doing. It's not just having an entrepreneur mindset in order to start a new company. It's having an entrepreneurship mindset in order to deepen whatever work it is that you choose to do. And so, yeah, we have a lot. You can Google eShip, entrepreneurship at Georgetown McDonough to learn more about those offerings. And I will turn it back over to Rhonda if that's it. Let me look one more time. Oh, just a little bulldog here. Very cute.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Laura, for walking us through all the services that your team provides. And if you have any more questions or want to learn more about our Career Center, please join us for one of our informational sessions happening throughout the recruitment cycle. But if you have any specific questions, please let us know and we will be able to get you that information. So again, thank you so much, Laura, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so now we are transitioning to another opportunity for you to get a better sense of all the things that we do at Georgetown. So I have quite a few friends in this education space, and they have joined me here today. So I will ask for you all to just come on camera so that we can pin your faces real quick. Thank you. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Perfect. So again, for those that are just joining us today, my name is Rhonda Remy. I serve as the Director of MBA Recruitment and Diversity Partnerships here at Georgetown McDonough. So a big part of my role is just diversifying the pathways that lead some of our talented applicants into our MBA programs through some of these partnerships and organizations, universities, and just overall programming to share our mission. Fun fact about me, I've been working here at Georgetown University for 6.5 years, started at the School of Continuing Studies with business related programs, specialized master's programs before transitioning here to the School of Business. But before that, I worked for St. John's University, Iona University, and Girls Inc., all organizations with strong missions centered around access, equity, and empowerment. So in my experience, I know that the work that we're doing isn't something that I can do alone. So I'm very happy to have my peers here to just, one, show a little bit more or for you to learn a little bit more about their organizations, but overall how it reflects Georgetown's values, our Jesuit values, specifically around being people for others and building a community that celebrates diversity. So that's a little bit about me, but I'm going to turn it over to my peers. If we can go around, if you can just introduce yourself and also share a little bit more about your organization's mission and how we partner with each other. And I'll start it off for you all, just picking instead of doing a popcorn style. So first person I see on my screen is Maura Clark.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Rhonda. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for having all of us. We're excited to spend a little time with you on what I'm sure is a great day full of very interesting sessions. So as Rhonda mentioned, my name is Maura Clark, and I am here representing an organization that we call MLT, which stands for Management Leadership for Tomorrow. And we are a nonprofit based in Bethesda, Maryland. And we work towards expanding and enhancing economic opportunity and mobility for everyone. So we do that in a lot of different ways, but the program that you probably will be most interested in is our MBA prep program. So we work with pre-MBA candidates that are considering an MBA in the next few years, everything from building that target list of schools all the way up through submitting your applications, getting scholarship offers back, all those pieces. You have a coach that's with you the whole way. All right, I will pass it on to one of my colleagues, and thanks again for having us.
Thank you. Next on my screen, I have Ashley.
Hi, Rhonda. Great to be here. Thanks for having us. Hope everyone is having a wonderful day. My name is Ashley Lotzenheiser. I'm the Director of Pre-MBA Programs at the Forté Foundation. We are a nonprofit organization fueling the future of business, helping candidates reimagine what's possible through business, education, and impact, really hoping to change the status quo of business. I have a background in admissions. I've been in admissions for over 15 years. Used to be on the school side. Now I get to work at Forté. Similar to Maura at MLT, we do have an application prep program called MBA Launch that helps candidates with their application to business school, which certainly may be relevant to some of you. We also have a Forté Fellows program, which is a scholarship program. All of our member schools are able to select and fund Forté Fellows, which are named scholarships. So that's everyone's favorite word, I think, in the application process, but really excited to be here with my amazing colleagues.
Awesome. Next person I see is Robert.
Thank you, Rhonda, and good morning, everyone. So happy to be here with everyone. My name is Robert Tovar. I'm the Director of Student Success over at Prospanica. We are a national nonprofit organization. Our organization's mission is to support this Hispanic community in achieving their full educational, economic, and social potential. We do this through our program offerings throughout the year, our flagship program being our national conference. But we also have other programming such as our Para Ella, as well as webinars that we host via LinkedIn. Those are free for anyone to join, so we definitely encourage folks to engage with us that way. And then another program that we offer is our scholarship program, with scholarships opening in January. So we are an organization that is open to everyone and anyone that is interested in joining us, and there's something for everyone.
Awesome, thank you. Next person I have on my screen is Bianca.
Well, hello, everyone. I see the gang's all here, which I love. I am Bianca Keys, and I am actually the former director of recruiting at the Consortium, but now don't giggle, Michael, but the new CEO of Admit Me Access, and we are a community first MBA admissions platform. And we are built to make this journey less intimidating and more achievable. So, our simple mission is to pretty much eliminate barriers so that anyone, no matter their background, resources, or network, can confidently pursue a top MBA. We have two programs. You actually can join our network. That is free, and we offer resources for MBA prep, especially if you're a little bit curious about getting an MBA. We also have our Access Plus, which will be launching November 1st. With a lot of innovative master classes, our Access Saturday School, which has a lot of information from our partner schools and from strategic partners, and then our Access Fellowship. I have worked with so many of our Access Fellows in the past, so this was definitely a natural transition, and I am happy to be here to share more information.
Awesome, awesome. And then last but not least, Michael.
So although Bianca says former, I'm not letting her go that easily.
He's holding me hostage, guys.
I'm definitely holding her hostage. My name is Michael Bates, and I'm the Assistant Vice President for Graduate Programs at the Consortium. At the Consortium, our mission is to expand access and increase representation in business education, as well as in corporate leadership. So we do this in collaboration with our 21 member schools and our corporate partners. So we work to strengthen enrollment and leadership across many sectors. So we also have a fellowship program that where you can earn anywhere up to full tuition at our member schools. And there we go.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you all. So we'll start off with a few questions that I have prepared for you all, and then trying to leave some time towards the end. If any participant may have some questions, they can put it in the chat, and then I'll go back and share those questions with our panelists. So thank you so much for talking a little bit more about your organization and just, quick highlights about what your organization offers. But the title of this event is just a focus on community and impact. So I'm just curious for each of your organizations, how do you define community impact in your mission? So let's do reverse. Michael, I'm going to you first.
Sorry. So, community impact or making sure. So, and I'll say this, I'll give Bianca her flowers now. So, for us, for a long time, well, community impact to me, I'll say that. For a long time, we had somewhere around an incoming class of about maybe 500, or so. And in the last 2 years, with me and Bianca together, we've gotten our classes over 21 schools to, right now, like 865, closing in on 900. And so I think what kind of kept us going was, our ability to get more students, make sure that we have a lot of students in those respective programs. I mean, our mission is to increase that access. And so the more students that we can actually give that looks like us, that looks, that's making significant social impact in society is important. I think once we take that out, that social impact, you see the things that's starting to happen now in society, and not to get political. So for us, I think the sheer number making sure we have the right type of student was something that was near and dear to both of us, and has obviously carried Bianca onto her next, her next chapter in her career.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Ashley, how does your organization define community and impact?
Rhonda, I think an important piece, and I don't think this is necessarily unique to Forté, but something that we often say at Forté is the importance of lifting as you climb. And empowering candidates who go through any of our programs at any of our wonderful organizations to think about them being role models for those that come after them. And this idea that the impact and your showing up at tables, bringing your seat to the table if you have to, is paving the way for others that come along. And so it's not just about the work that me and my colleagues do and that we do kind of on this side, but it's about empowering those within the community to know that they're making an impact just by showing up every day. So I think that idea is lifting it as you climb is really creating more seats at the table.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to go to another question. Speaking about access, and I'm going to bring it to you, Bianca, Admit Me Access. Just curious, what unique contribution does your organization bring to the ecosystem of accessibility and belonging in business education?
All right. So as we all know, a lot of the systemic barriers we see come from information gaps, financial hurdles, lack of network. So Access was created to close those gaps. And so what we do is we bring this ecosystem. What we bring to it is trust, strategy, innovation, and authenticity. So our focus is on humanizing the admissions process. That's always been my goal in this space, is to humanize the process. Our candidates come from all walks of life, diverse backgrounds, and many of them are battling fear, questioning whether they belong, fighting imposter syndrome, and wondering if top MBA programs are truly inclusive spaces. So we work to replace that intimidation with clarity, confidence, and of course, community. We don't want to just be a test prep, essay, reading, nothing against that. That's what we do. But we don't want to just be that. We want to help people see what is possible and position themselves for success.
Awesome. Robert, same question. How does your organization bring accessibility and belonging to business education?
Yeah, what we do is we take a student and people person centered approach. So what I mean by that is just taking into consideration our national conference that typically is an in-person event. And with where we're currently at, we decided to go virtual because we wanted to ensure that our conference was accessible to as many people as possible. And it's free of charge for people to register for it, and we want to give people access to these professional development opportunities. We want to get our community in front of these top employers. We want to connect those prospective MBA students with some of the top schools and make sure that they see themselves visible and present and as valued people in this process. As first generation students, or they're unsure of what this ecosystem looks like and how to develop, we want to get them networked in community with us so that they feel seen and heard, and we can lift them up and just continue to provide access in different ways.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. So just switching gears a little bit more, the Jesuit principle of cura personalis, and for those that have applied, I know you had to Google, speak with reps, probably take a Latin course or two just to understand the true meaning of cura personalis. But overall, it just emphasizes caring for the whole person. So typically some of, I guess, a misconception I would say is that being a part of these organizations is just to get you into the door, but there's so many opportunities beyond that. So my first introduction when I got into this role last year was with MLT. So I'm going to switch it to you, Maura, just to kind of talk about how does your organization practice this idea of preparing candidates for the MBA journey? And then the second part would be, how do you kind of help them throughout the MBA journey as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a great question. And when we think about the MBA application and the search process, if you think about MBA candidates, the last time most of them did this type of thing of applying to schools, thinking about this next chapter, they were probably like juniors in high school. So for all of you on the call that are thinking about an MBA, the last time you thought about a lot of these types of things, you were maybe 16 or 17. And life looks a lot different now. The other thing is life does not stop while you are making one of these huge transitions, like applying to an MBA. So people get married, people get sick, they get divorced, they move, all of these different things. The world keeps going around us. There's a lot of noise in the world. So I think having a coach-based program where you have two things. You have a coach that you are able to talk to on Zoom, have some opportunities to meet in person during the course of the program, and really get to know them. And as Ashley mentioned about having a background in admissions, that is also the background of our MBA prep coaches. So they have all sat on the other side of the table, interviewed candidates, read applications, and they're in this industry not for the money, which I know is what you all think, that it's because we are so incredibly well compensated, that's a part of it. Yeah. But they're here because they love working with candidates and they want that opportunity to make connections on an individual level, to find out what types of schools really feel like they would be the best fit for a candidate based on all sorts of aspects of the search process, whether it's professional or personal, where your family is, all those pieces. We always say that MLT is for life. And so once you go through the application process and you hopefully are one of the 98% of fellows that typically get an offer from a full-time MBA program and you sign on the line, you are still a part of this community. We have a program after MBA prep that is called MBA Professional Development that assists with internship and full-time job search. But even beyond that, you are now part of a network where you are able to reach out to friends and colleagues and just acquaintances or acquaintances of acquaintances as you're thinking about job transitions, as you are getting to your new MBA program. So I think really that the impact of the community, that was kind of one of the questions that was asked earlier, really is one of the biggest, kind of positive aspects of the MLT experience, is that you come out and you have this really robust network and community that is looking to continue to stay engaged with you throughout the process.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Michael,
Mhm.
the consortium is known for one grand event during the summertime. So if you could talk about how that event kind of helps students or prepare them, or how they can access that network, not just before in the application process, but then overall as they are a consortium member and student.
Yeah, so you're talking about our orientation program, or what we affectionately call OP. So OP is actually the, before classes start, usually around late May, early June. We have everyone come, all of the admitted students from the member schools come in, have certain, seminars, prep, and things like that. I think the thing that's magical about OP, though, is that it's, students from the 21 schools. And so not only are you getting an opportunity before you actually even start class to meet with, other people or other consortium members in your respective school, but you also have the opportunity to meet across the across the whole consortium family. We actually use consortium family, ironically, but you have an opportunity to meet across the consortium family, and I think we all know and understand that the network that you build over the next couple of years, and especially in business school, will help you throughout your life. So not only are you meeting these students at say Georgetown, but you're also meeting students across. So your network is, you walk in already expanded with an expanded network versus other students that that you will have peers, or that your other peers at your respective schools whose network is not as big as yours walking in the door.
So thank you, Michael. And right
Mhm.
after that, it's a busy travel season for me because I go to Forté's conference right after. So just curious, Ashley, how do you all support students, not just in the application phase, but then throughout their MBA and professional career?
Absolutely, yes. And we work to ensure that Consortium OP and our MBA Leadership Conference do not conflict.
Yes,
We talk to each
correct,
other.
correct,
And
correct.
there are many students that will travel between the two, which is always very fun. And similarly, an opportunity for you to connect outside of your business school network. And I think a real great benefit of all of our organizations is the ability to build a network outside of just who you're going to meet in your specific business school cohort. And that's going to carry you through as well as you're going through business school, but then also beyond as you're looking for jobs and internships. Your network is going to be more than just the MBA program that you've joined. It's also a great opportunity to have some professional connections and, looking for internships before you've even started on campus. So again, another layer of networking that you get. So you'll of course get amazing career services from McDonough, but then you also will get another layer of corporate connections from whether it's the consortium or Forté. We also have corporate members in addition to school members. And so you're getting to talk to corporate partners before you even step foot on campus. So really setting yourself up for success. And as Michael mentioned, not all students are taking advantage of these opportunities. And so you might be showing up to campus, already have an internship in hand, already have a network at a bunch of other business schools. And your friends might be like, how did you do that? You'd be like, well, I went to OP, I went to the Forté conference, like I'm on it. So it really helps set you up for success by doing one of these summer programs as well.
And Ashley, thank you for mentioning that, because I did neglect to say that a lot of students that come to our OP program do have an opportunity to meet with corporations and possibly get an internship before they even walk into their first day of classes. So.
And I would also recommend when you're looking at your options, and Georgetown is great at supporting students as they're going to conferences. What support might your potential school be providing there? And Rhonda and her team work really hard, so you all are ready when you go to these conferences. So like your resume is going to be on point. You'll know how to talk about your MBA, even then you haven't gone to class yet. Your admission team will make sure you're ready to talk about those things. So it seems crazy to be like, but I haven't even started my MBA. But I promise you, corporate partners are already out there trying to recruit you before you started in class.
We just had Career Center right before our panel. So Laura, myself, Dean, and other student leaders will be accompanying you to some of these conferences. So and I think Laura mentioned it a little bit, there is a summer curriculum. So before you start the program, especially if you are coming through the consortium or going to the Forté conference, that you are well prepared to have these conversations and to navigate recruitment fairs, which sometimes can be, intimidating in itself, because it's not just you and your schoolmates, but it's anyone in MBA programs looking for employment opportunities. So well prepared there, yes, for sure. So then my other question is about collaborations, right? So obviously we're collaborating right now. You all are my friends because we work closely with each other, but just how does collaboration between business schools and your organization truly enhance the MBA experience for students? So I'll start with you, Robert.
Yeah, I think collaboration and community is key. You know, I have the honor and privilege to work with, you know, Michael, Bianca. We've worked with MLT. We've done it with Forté. You know, we've done a lot of things in community, and it really just shapes the MBA experience because it gives you different perspective. It gives you different insights. And really sets you apart maybe from other folks because you're building that network, you're building um, that community with one another. And, you know, with Prospanica specifically, our professional development webinar series, you know, we touch on different areas and different industries. So, you know, you might be focused on marketing, but you might have an interest in tech, and we partner with different organizations like Decaria and SHIP to provide those insights. So we really try to diversify the experience and give you opportunities to see different perspectives, see different industry, and just broaden your horizons a little bit as to what's out there. What does the business landscape look like? So by engaging with any one of our organizations, you're already doing that. You're broadening your horizons, and you're kind of seeing what does the industry look like today and where is the industry going in the future.
Awesome. Bianca, how can business schools and your organizations just work together to enhance the MBA experience for students?
Absolutely. It's all about exposing candidates to all the possibilities, all the resources, and schools that they've never imagined that they could attend. I know one thing, me, Mara, Ashley, we've annually done the MBA Connection, which is a great resource informational webinar. I know I've pivoted away to another place, but it's okay. But we do the MBA Connection to share like how those different resources impact. So when is the best time to join MLT? When is the best time to join Forté? Admit me being an option in filling some of those gaps, and also funneling down to the consortium application. So how do we all work together? Because that's what we do, not only just to enhance your MBA journey and your network, but we just enhance the entire experience so that you are prepared for your MBA program, having a strong application and being able to be successful.
Yeah, I sorry to jump in.
Yeah, you did jump.
I know, I know, I know. I do this, and I'm sitting on my hands trying to bite my lip, trying to be quiet and stuff like that. I think though it's important to add though that all of us are working together for the benefit of you. We all have our separate organizations, but I think all of us, and that's why we collaborate and we all know each other. It's like sitting here with each other. It's like a family reunion of type because we're all, working and calling one another so that we can make sure that students who historically didn't have access get that access. So it's all of our like personal passion, our personal mission, and I think most of us are guided, by this mission to make sure that we develop or maintain or access for everyone, equal opportunity for everyone. So sorry.
Yeah. And it builds trust. It helps to strengthen the pipelines, and it creates a more inclusive MBA experience altogether.
Mhm.
So we want to make sure that you are in an environment that is fit and a great place that's conducive for your success.
Awesome. Thank you. And we mentioned it a little bit before, that, our university specifically works with all these partners here to offer scholarship opportunities, ways to access even the application at a more affordable rate. And then additionally offering opportunities for our career team to work with these organizations for the recruitment process, right? So as much as they work with each other, they also work with our universities to ensure that you are well supported while you are in the MBA program as well. So again, thank you so much for being my friends, and answering my questions, but then also, working collaboration with me. So I think my last question for you all before I open it up to questions from the audience is, and we'll go around the table, but what is your best piece of advice for staying authentic in the admissions process?
I'm gonna jump in first so I don't get scooped, because I had all these good things, and then Ashley was like, we rise by lift. I'm like, that's what we do too. So, okay, the best piece of advice, this is a good one. Don't do this alone. Like, if you log off today and you're like, oh, those seem like a number of nice organizations, like, I don't know if I felt like I resonated. Okay, but then keep looking, because if it's not one of our organizations, I encourage you to like find your people. And maybe your people are an employee resource group at work. Maybe there's like some people in your apartment building that would want to be like in a study group together or get together. I was on a virtual session probably a year ago, and it was about test prep. And we went through all the things we were talking about. And one of the candidates came off mute and he said, I took the GMAT twice last year and I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell my family. I didn't tell my friends. And he said it was awful. And I really was struggling with my score. And so just hearing that story of doing something that big, and some of you are going to be in circles where you can't talk about going back for an MBA, like maybe at work, that's not the right place to be talking about it. But I really encourage you to find your support network. We hope, selfishly, all of us, we hope that one of our organizations or multiple organizations will be a fit. But keep looking until you find people to walk this path with.
I'm going to
Rhonda,
jump in too. Oh, dang. Fine, go Bianca.
Tag. So I was just going to piggyback off of that fabulous response, Mara, but to also be real and be proud of your story, and don't compare yourself to others. So I know I run into a lot of candidates who will hear other stories, or they're already in MBA prep, and they'll hear other fellows that will share that they're already making six figures, or their experience, and they may not feel that their experience measures up to someone else. But that is not a factor when you're applying to your MBA program. Be your authentic self. Don't try to sound like the perfect MBA candidate. Is that a real thing, Rhonda? Is that a real thing?
No.
A perfect MBA candidate? I don't think so. Sound like you. Okay. The most powerful stories come from self-awareness and not perfection. So you definitely want to be proud of your story, and let that come across in your application.
I knew I should not have let you go, because I basically was going to say that, Bianca. Yes, I gotta just I think it's a really important point that comparison is the thief of joy, and there's so much noise out there. And if you are on the internet, you are hearing the noise about admissions, and it is so easy to think I need to be this person to get into business school. And I think you just have to know there is a place for you in business school. And it is not about fitting your story for the business school, but it's about finding a business school that fits you. So my advice is, in the best way possible, to be self-centered, not selfish, but self-centered. And this process is going to be different for each and every one of you. And rather than hearing a story and thinking you need to be that person, just recognize that someone else is on their own journey, and you're on your journey, and you're all going to have different wonderful stories to tell. You're all special, wonderful people, and we want to hear your special story. I don't want to hear somebody else's story. I really just want to hear about you.
Yeah, I would reiterate, don't tell the story you think adcoms want to hear. And I think that's the biggest thing that people often do, is hey, they don't want to hear my journey. This is what they want to hear. Tell your story. Tell what makes you special. I would also say, I often joke with students, it's a relationship that you're entering into, right? And we like to think that we know what the school will offer. So tell what you bring to the table as well. But make sure you're telling your story and not what you want, what you think that we want to hear, that the admissions committee want to hear.
Y'all are tough acts to follow. You all touched on everything that I wanted to touch on, but I think the one thing that I always come back to when speaking with students is, show growth, not perfection, not flawlessness. You all touched on this a little bit. Business schools are not looking for a profile. They're looking for actual people. They want to see a person shine through and come through in their materials. And the other part of it is, Michael touched on this just right now, but I like to say date a little bit, talk to current students, talk to, current professors. A lot of folks are willing to talk to you about programs and what their experiences are like in the program. So you want to make sure that you're going into a program that is a good fit for you, that you do feel seen, that you do feel heard and valued. And I think Rhonda and her team do an excellent job at communicating that and providing opportunities for you to date them specifically a little bit and get to know their programs and all of their offerings.
Awesome. I like Starbucks. So if we're having a conversation, no, I'm just kidding. So thank you all for your highlight. I would also I echo everything that you all said. I honestly felt like I was on a Mel Robbins podcast or Diary of a CEO podcast because it was just so inspirational. But one thing I would say as well from AdCom specifics, AI is definitely incorporated in mostly everything that we do, but don't let AI strip you from your voice. Because now on the AdCom side of things, it's all starting to sound alike, right? And the reason why we want to hear who you are as a person, professionally, or just, what you do outside of your professional role, is because, again, that human aspect brings so much to the classroom. It also talks a little bit more about culturally how you fit into our program and our values. And we need to see that. And we're not judging you off a prompt. We're judging you based off of your experience only. So again, don't shy away of telling us your story. You can use things like ChatGPT, Claude, to help you kind of form the essay, but it shouldn't be the thing, sharing your story. It should just come from you. So I'm going to do something pretty fun. I hope you guys are ready. We're going to do a lightning round before we get into questions. And while we're doing this lightning round, I hope you all can add your questions in the chat for our panelists here. If you can, in one word, describe your organization's mission, but I have a stipulation. You cannot use the word diversity. So take it all in, 30 seconds. And we're starting with you, Michael, because you're unmuted. So one word.
Yeah. I'm going to mute myself after this.
Okay.
Impactful.
Awesome. Bianca?
You said one word, Rhonda.
One word.
And I do you all like that. That's crazy. Okay.
It's in the title. It's in the title.
I know. I have it hyphenated.
Okay.
Tech
That's
forward.
2 words.
Oh,
I don't care. Hyphen is 1. Tech forward. Me and Michael go back and forth, so this is a real thing, guys.
Yeah.
Awesome. Maura, I see you're unmuted.
see that strategy?
Yep.
Yes. Trust yourself, trust the process, trust.
Awesome. Robert, Ashley?
I would say community.
Then I'm going to go with inclusion.
Love it. Awesome. What's your favorite city that your organization has taken you to? Michael, you're unmuted.
Damn it.
You
I
go
thought either LA or the Bay Area. Yeah, probably the Bay Area because it reminds me most of my favorite city in the world, Chicago.
Okay, I'm gonna go after Michael because I also was gonna say the Bay Area because that's where I'm from. So very different reason. Also, Chicago is like on the bottom of my list, so Michael and I have different reasons.
Hey,
California
Chicago is my
girl.
Chicago is my hometown. Don't start.
Yeah, Ashley.
California because that's where I'm from. So get to go home. Always nice.
Lord, Bianca.
There's this battle, St. Louis, Chicago thing, and then Ashley's in St. Louis with me, so she's got to be on my team. Chicago is at the bottom. I haven't traveled with Access yet, but I have been working with Access Fellows for quite some time, and always engage with them during Consortium MAPS events, the MBA application prep seminars. So with that being said, it is a toss-up between New York and Atlanta. I usually have a lot of fellows there. The engagement is fantastic. And yeah, and I like those cities. But Chicago's definitely still at the bottom.
Unpopular opinion, but I would say mine is Chicago only because I was living there for a few years, so it allowed me to go back, and Chicago has arguably some of the best food and restaurants. So
Tell them, Robert.
it's up there for me. But I might be biased because I did live there for a few years and had just moved back to LA, and I went back to Chicago, so might be a little biased there.
All these haters on Chicago. That's awful. I love Chicago. But I gotta say New York, and New York, just, nothing like the energy in New York when candidates come up to you and they're like, I came to this event tonight because I saw y'all were gonna be here. And it's just great.
Awesome.
Rhonda, I think this question would be a lot more interesting for you to answer because when I was on the other side of the desk, when you're a school rep, you get to go all sorts of exotic places. So I don't know, Rhonda, what is your favorite place you get to go?
Yeah, and I was busy this year. I would say, oh gosh, it's a toss up between Dublin and Cape Town.
I knew that answer was going to be better than any of the stuff we said.
Yeah, Dublin is honestly, I'm like I mentioned before, I'm originally from New York and I just felt the connection. Like, I don't know, there's my type of people, great food. I had some real, I stopped by an quote unquote authentic New York pizza shop and it tasted like it was from New York. So yeah, I really enjoyed Dublin, but I truly enjoyed Cape Town, just the culture, the music, the wine, the fish, just everything about it was awesome. And if students were or prospective applicants were on this call earlier, we talked about the GBE experience, we talked about study abroad opportunities and just iTrex in general. And these are some of the places that you can go, not just on the recruiting side, but more so, as a student in any of those programs. So yeah. Okay. Thanks for throwing it back at me, Ashley. I'm gonna remember this for next panel discussion. But if you can finish the sentence, the future of business is, how would you end that sentence?
I'll
save
jump
my
in.
vote.
Oh,
No, let's
go,
have
Robert.
Robert start. Yeah,
I'm gonna let Robert do it. Yeah.
I'll jump in and I'll say the future of business is waiting for your diverse perspective, for your just everything about you. It's waiting for you.
I'll jump in now. I'll say inclusive and innovative. But I like what you said too, Robert.
Yeah.
That was good.
I have one. The future of business is worth this fight. And what the fight is, maybe we all only know our own fight. There's a lot of fights, but it's worth it.
Yeah. To follow up, it's like the future of business needs you.
Yeah, the future of business
So
depends on you.
exactly. There you go.
So that was deep. Thank you all for answering those questions. Definitely appreciate your insights and joining us today. So I'm now opening it up or going to review some questions in the chat. And again, if you have any questions, please, 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 put it in the chat as we have like about 10 to 15 minutes. This is specifically to you, Michael, from Thor. Oh, hi, Thor. I love the movies. If I'm applying to 6 schools and have test waivers to 5 of them, the last one, which needs the entire application to be submitted before they grant or deny the waiver, since the list, it's pretty intense. But basically talking about will their application be incomplete because they are missing one of the test waivers for their application into the consortium?
No, it won't affect the other 5. Now they would submit all of their applications at the same time for the 6 schools. If the, how do I put this? If and we'll start right now. We had some submissions, right? And we have somebody out reaching out to you to complete the applications. And of course, that's when the schools will get the information. But no, the other 5 applications are not impacted as far as review or anything like that, just because you don't have the 6th test waiver.
Can I jump in only because this is my
Yes.
last day technically at the consortium?
Yes. Yes.
So I'm
Go
going to
ahead.
jump in and
I'll
say
allow it.
that the test waivers are individual and school specific. So it goes according to the whatever the school has in the application, or sometimes the schools will have you apply for a test waiver outside of the application. So that's school specific. So no one else will, that 6th school wouldn't see any of the other waivers of the application. They only see their school specific information.
Can I just jump in real quick? Because that question obviously is tailored towards the consortium, but one of the reasons why I wanted to have this panel specifically is just exposure to all these different partners. So for folks that are not aware of the consortium pathway, Bianca and Michael, you can tag team. Bianca, it's your last day, so we still got to put you to work until 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So just curious.
No, Central Standard
Sorry,
Time.
Central Time.
And I might be pushing Pacific, so.
Okay. But if you can talk about the consortium pathway and their application process, because it is somewhat unique to the other partners on our call. So if you could just talk a little bit more about that, that'd be great.
Bianca, do you want me to go or you want to go?
I'm gonna follow your lead.
Oh, okay. So so most of you are probably young enough to remember, or well, you're probably only a few years away from, your undergraduate experience. And so the consortium is like the Common App. The consortium application is like the Common App. So we have 21 schools, and essentially, not even essentially, you can definitely apply to all 21 schools via our application. Now, it's not something that I would recommend because we have an application, but then you have to do supplemental information for each school. But you would be able to do it all in one place. It's first of all, if nothing else, it's time and maybe cost, and not even maybe, but it's definitely cost effective as well. So it would certainly lessen the application expenses. For instance, it can cost a good $225 to apply to one school. Whereas, it's $150 to apply and then $50 per school on top of, for each school. So, Bianca?
I'm going to add to that, along with kind of answering one of the questions that I see, that it's beneficial to apply. All of the admissions officers are going to advise you to apply through the consortium. The consortium app is open to everyone. So it's not just for underrepresented backgrounds or anything like that. It would behoove you to apply to the consortium and saving money and being considered for consortium funding as well. So admissions reviews are separate from consortium reviews. So you're applying for membership and for the consortium, of which I'd like to add that you will get a consortium application discount. And I'm saying it because Michael's on here, with applying with Admit Me. Just thought I'd piggyback on there.
I think I just got punked, but
got him. But also,
I think I just got punked. But
you did. But yes, you will be considered the admissions officers, all of the schools. And this is just me having admissions background as well. There will be a holistic review regardless of if you apply through the consortium or not.
And for that student that's asking, we don't supply the school biodata information, so they don't know if you're an underrepresented minority when applying to the schools. I mean, when reviewing the application. So I want to disavow you from that particular notion. It's not. Yeah, it's not looked at it in that perspective. What we do is we send the information minus biodata, so they wouldn't know that you're an underrepresented minority. And as Bianca mentioned, we have we have applicants from all walks.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you, Bianca, for answering as well and touching on the holistic review that admissions folks would have to do. We are not comparing consortium or looking at consortium applicants differently than all the other applications that are coming through our pipelines. The only thing that is different from students or applicants that are coming through the consortium pipeline is the fact that they can be considered for one of the merit scholarships, which is the consortium fellowship. So that's the only difference. Overall, we're looking for students with a strong academic background or opportunities to showcase that, great professional exposure, and then leadership qualities, but then lastly, cultural fit. Understanding that we are a university that has a strong and very long history of being people for others. So we want to see that showcased some way in your application. So we are looking at all applications in the same regard. So thank you for that. There's a question by Camille. How would you describe a successful leader in business?
I think a lot of the comments that we have made are the things that we've highlighted about our organizations, as far as bringing others along with you, focusing on community, staying true to yourself, trusting in the process. All those things we highlighted, those make for a successful business leader. Something that we talk about in the admissions process that we're looking for, and I think this kind of translates as you become a professional, more seasoned professional. We look for coachability, which that can be like, what is that? Like, how do you find that? That can be hard. But being open to feedback, being receptive to hear people with what they're telling you, whether it's feedback. It doesn't mean that you have to listen to all of it, but it's good to know, it's good to be open. And I think that's something that's really important. There will be no shortage of egos in any MBA program. And so, stay humble, stay hardworking. Those are the things that I think really help people succeed in all walks of life and business especially.
I'm gonna build on what Mara just said, because I think all of that, yes, 100 times, is also having some set of core principles and core kind of understanding of what is important to you, or what are your non-negotiables. So when you are faced with really difficult business decisions, you have some core principles to go back to. And doing a program like Georgetown that has a very clear set of principles can help you understand that it is going to be very difficult to be out there being a business leader. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to make a bunch of money. It's going to be super fun. There are going to be times where you're going to have to make really tough decisions that are going to affect the livelihoods of people that either work for you, that use your product, that are living in your sphere. And you have to have some set of core principles to go back to when you're making those tough decisions. You can't be kind of just fly by night, going with the flow. You really do have to have a really set of core principles so you're able to make those really tough decisions.
Awesome. I'm seeing we do get quite a few international students, obviously because of our global perspective, and overall, we are an institution and a university that celebrates the global diversity that we have in our programs. So which of your organizations are open to international students? Forté? And if
We are.
yes. And what's great is that we were able to add their links in the chat as well. So please go on our website, but then also on their websites as well, to just do a deep dive of all their offerings and their membership eligibility, so that you are able to participate and join one of these organizations. Let's see. So what are some of the most, and this is the last question because we're about to be at time, but and I love this question because it's so traditional. But what are some of the most important traits to highlight in an MBA application, especially if you have a quote unquote non-traditional background?
Transferable skills. If you think you're a non-traditional, I promise you, managing a classroom of 20 high schoolers is probably more difficult than managing a team of 20 adults. So if you're a teacher, I promise you have transferable skills. If you're in the military, I promise you have transferable skills. So if you think you're non-traditional, you just need to say it in B speak, but I promise you all have great transferable skills you should highlight.
Anyone else? Okay, awesome. So we are at time, and I see that the panelists are putting their direct contact information in the chat as well. So if you have any questions or just would like to learn a little bit more about their organizations, please connect with them after this call. But thank you all so much for joining us today and being a part of Georgetown's focus on community and impact. Again, I can't do this work alone, so I'm happy to have you all support me and support Georgetown's mission as well. So thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Thank you. Great to see you, Rhonda.
Great to see you as well.
Thank you.
All right, so you can breathe, stretch, shake just a little bit, but we are going to transition into another panel. This time you're going to hear from our students that are participating in or have leadership positions in some of these regional clubs and organizations. So I will ask for Breon Ransom, our Senior Assistant Director of MBA Admissions, to lead this panel. And also if our Student ambassadors can also join, unmute, and also show their camera. Awesome. I see you all. And now just transitioning it over to Brianne. Thank you so much for leading this conversation.
Of course. Thank you, Rhonda. I hope you guys have been enjoying our focus on community impact so far. It's always exciting this time of year to do this event. Again, I want to kind of introduce myself. I know Rhonda said I'll be coming on, but I'm Brianne Ransom. I'm the Senior Assistant Director of MBA Admissions, and I'm also the Admissions Advisor for our Flex MBA programs. So thank you for joining this particular panel. It is definitely kind of focusing on the global perspectives and enhancing business, education, preparing future leaders for an interconnected world. Now, I'm pleased to be alongside our students today, Coral, Tomas, and Michael. Thank you all for being here. And to our audience, I would like you to drop your questions in the chat if you have any along the way. But I'm super eager to begin learning more about Coral, Tomas, and Michael's experiences. So can you all please introduce yourself, share your background and motivation for why you pursued an MBA degree at McDonough? And we can start with Tomas, and then you could pass it along.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And thank you for the opportunity to talk today. My name is Tomas Delgado, and I'm currently pursuing my MBA at the Georgetown McDonough School of Business. And I'm currently working in federal affairs here in DC for General Motors. And so my background is in government and public policy. Prior to my role, I worked on Capitol Hill. And so mostly on the defense and commercial side. And for me, it's like, I want to bridge like the two together, like the business and strategic decision making stuff at General Motors. So I would love to stay with the company long term. But it's more so like bringing all sides together in kind of stay in going into the non-market strategy space. And so that's my ultimate objective.
Awesome. And let's pass it along. Let's hear from you, Michael. Well, I told Michael Hill. Coral.
Hi everyone. Can you hear me? Hello, my name is Coral. I'm currently a second year MBA at Georgetown. I'm also the president of Asian Business Student Alliance, so ABSA. My background is in Procter & Gamble. So I'm from Taiwan. My background is marketing. My most recent full-time job is a brand manager at Procter & Gamble. And then the reason I pursue my MBA is because when I was working as a brand manager, I feel like there's lacked in some business acumen or like a more like knowledge into the finance and accounting sector. That's one of the reason I pursue my MBA. And also another reason is because I'm from Taiwan and I am wanted to land a job in the States. So that's the reason. I pursue my MBA, and then after my MBA, my goal is to wanted to secure, maybe looking back into my CPG background, wanted to secure marketing or a branding position in CPG industry.
Thank you, Coral. I love how you tied all that together. And Michael, let's hear from you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Michael. I'm originally from Lagos, Nigeria. Before business school, I spent about a decade working across various strategy-related roles in nonprofit and private sector. I came to get my MBA because I wanted to get a more global experience. And Georgetown, especially being in Washington, D.C., seemed like the perfect place to do that. I think the thing that really excited me about Georgetown is its emphasis on not just business, but business and society. So we talk about, doing good personally and doing good in your career, a lot of Georgetown, but we also talk about making sure that as we do good personally, we're also doing good for the world. And I think that's something that really resonates with me about the community at Georgetown and the way that the MBA program is designed. And that's why I chose to come to Georgetown. post MBA, I'm looking to pivot back into consulting. I spent some time working in consulting before business school. Wanted to go back into consulting. Similar to Coral, I'm looking to stay in the region post MBA. And so this summer, I spent some time working in strategy consulting, and hopefully I return there full time post graduation.
Thank you. Thank you all for those lovely intros. And just to kind of stick with you, Michael, and then we'll pass it along. Can you share, how your club promotes a global business mindset and why this is crucial in today's interconnected world?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of the people who come to Georgetown, are globally minded. Um, and I think the reason why people come to Georgetown is because they're looking for those sort of experiences and opportunities to connect with business thinkers and business practitioners from all across the world. And the way that GABA tries to do that is to bring in the African perspective, right? So you have a lot of people, in the classroom, in the program, who've never been to Africa, who might be interested in, understanding how business works on the continent, or people who, have had some experience and some exposure to the continent in the past, but are looking to, go even deeper and learn a little bit more about the continent and the way business works there. And the thing about business is it's just not about like starting a company, or doing some kind of trade with the continent. It's also about understanding the culture and the people and, sort of the way, we think about success and the way that we want to live our lives. And I think that's a very important perspective that GABA helps to bring. I think it was maybe in the spring or last fall, we had like a Georgetown Africa Experience event that was bringing together sort of all of these different dimensions of African business. And we had like an event that had maybe like 100 people there, at the Hariri building. And it was just a really good way to showcase the African culture, but also to showcase like African businesses and like how Africans are thinking about doing business with the rest of the world. And I think similar to, some of the other, and we not only benefit from like showcasing that, but we also benefit when other like regional clubs do the same, like ABSA, for example. We get to interact with those with businesses in those regions of the world through events and programming that this different sort of regional clubs put together.
Thank you. I really love that. And just out of everything you said, it, reassured me that Georgetown is a place where the global minded individuals want to be, or the individuals who may not have had that experience and they're open to wanting to be a part of different cultures and learning about that. Coral, let's hear from you. Can you share how your club promotes global business mindset?
Yeah, of course. And I really agree with what Michael just shared about. Like, I feel like it's not only about business, but more on the cultural side. And also, like, there's also a different culture, like in the business, how we do, like, we work in Asia and like in America or like in everywhere else in the world. However, back to the question, how we promote, we also have a lot of like cultural events. One events we did like this year. It's during the Lunar New Year. We collaborate with SGA to host a KEX together with the Korean Society Korean Club together, and we brought a lot of like what we did during what we usually do during like the New Year, what kind of food we eat at that time. And I think that's also an opportunity for like clubs members to like connect and also like just get to know more like that is a environment for clubs member to interact with all the other MBA students. And in that event, we like people can start conversation about like I'm sharing my culture with you, and then like it start from a cultural like aspect, but then like MBA student will like bring it into like the more business and sector, talking about your background, like how do like what kind of like different culture you encounter during like working in the state and comparing into Asia. And I think that's kind of the way how we promote that. We start from like a more cultural events, sharing about our culture, and then like create the opportunity for people to connect with like the local student or like different culture students.
Yeah, I agree. And that's
Yeah.
how some of the best collaborations start, just from
Yeah.
having those conversations. Tomas, let's hear about how your club promotes global business mindset.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's going to be hard to follow both of those up. Those are great examples of literally what Laba does too. I think I mean it's about like building bridges between Latin America and the broader global business community. And so similar to both Coral and Michael. I mean, we have speaker events, collaborations with other clubs, but also cultural treks. And so I think most recently they went to Colombia, and I wasn't able to go this time around, but I did go to one in Japan that was led by another club, and that was one of the most beautiful experiences that I've ever had. I'm a flex student, so I don't often have the same time to attend most of the club events and stuff, but these treks were so meaningful because I got to connect with other students from different cultures, and so I got to share like the Latin American perspective with them, and vice versa, their culture with mine, and so like even like simple ideas as like oh, like what do you think of this, or what do you think of that, maybe we should work on something together. I think it just like we're building the bridges, and otherwise that if we wouldn't have gone on a track like this, it would be hard to connect with like full-time students or students that are online. And so I think that it's just I don't want to repeat what Michael and Coral said on the other stuff, but yeah, I think it's more critical now than ever, um given the geopolitics in the world, that we're all connected more now than ever.
Yeah, thank you. And even thinking about your busy schedules, Tomas, you mentioned you're a flex student, even thinking about being a full-time MBA students, Coral and Michael, with busy schedules, classes, can you tell me about how you were able to get to know the community, actually carve out that time and begin to understand all of the different diverse perspectives within McDonough? Now, Michael, you kind of mentioned a little bit, about different events that are happening and people who are coming in learning more, but just tell me how you able to kind of like fit that in. Michael, we could start with you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So the way that I think about it is, I think the value of the MBA is like it's not just about the stuff that you're doing in the classroom, right? Like if you talk to most people who are getting the MBA, they'll tell you, it's like the three things that you're mainly spending all of your time doing. One is the academic side of things, which is pretty important, but it's like not the reason why it's not the only thing that's important. The other side of it is the social side of it, and then there's the professional side of it, recruiting and trying to get a job or start a business or something like that. I think these sort of engagements with these different sort of groups and clubs within Georgetown would fit like under the social side of things, and should ideally take about maybe a third of the time that you spend to get all together in business school. And so I think the short answer is really just understanding that and making time for it, right? And so it's really important to have that mindset that I'm not just here for the academics or the professional side of things, and I'm going to split my time between these two things, but to think about it in sort of these three dimensions. And when you do that, you then recognize that it's really important to spend time on this third piece. And that's sort of how the approach that I've taken. And so I do, in the midst of like class schedules or like recruiting and interviewing and things like that, I do make a point to be engaged with like all the clubs as well. And so like the I think it's the Southeast Asian club or something like that that's putting together like a Diwali event like soon. It's like a really important way to like, oh, I'm gonna go be there and I'm gonna dress in like my traditional attire, or whether it's like the Global Fest that's happening in November, or whether it's like, like so many other events that are happening throughout the McDonough community. I think being deliberate about participating in those is a really good way to get involved in sort of that global mindset that's pervasive throughout Georgetown. And you just kind of have to give yourself to it.
Yeah, that's true. I'm happy that you mentioned the Global Fest. Like that is, a perfect way to see like all of the cultures that we represent at Georgetown. And I'm going to you, Coral. Tell me about how you like carve out that time to get to know the community and understand all of the diverse perspectives within McDonough.
Yeah, just wanted to mention I'm so excited about the Global Fest and then really appreciate that Georgetown or McDonough has a lot of like opportunity for the diverse community and also regional clubs. I really agree with what Michael just mentioned. Like in Georgetown or in MBA, it's not only just like academic and recruiting. Of course, that's really a big part in your like daily life, but in terms of how to manage the time, I think for me, during my first year, just wanted to prioritize academic and recruiting. And other than that, I would just like put my like the rest of my time into like socializing. And I think that's also like give you a like getaway moment with all the stressful like recruiting stuffs. And then as for the global community, yeah, just like Michael just mentioned, there's a lot of like different events was like mostly hosted by the regional club. You got a chance to like interact with them, understand their culture, and also there's also like program wise like events. For example, CAX I just mentioned. I would say if you really wanted to like think about like how to manage your time, just go to CAX every week. Like I would say
Yeah.
it's like it's not only about like culture, sometimes it's not like the culture club who like hosts it, but it's the place that you can really like listen to people from like different perspective. Because like in your like day-to-day class, you like only have a chance to like interact with the students from your cohort. However, in CAX, there's really a chance for you like to listen to other perspective, like diverse like opinions from people. Um, so I would say CAX is great. Love CAX. Other than that, if we really wanted to get involved in like any of the events, during my first year, I check like Hoya Connect like weekly, and then just wanted to mark my calendar. Oh, like this like regional club or like cultural club is like hosting this event, and I will save my time for that, and then just get into the event, and then understand like talk to different people, understand their culture, understand their diverse perspective.
Thank you, Coral. And Tomas, I'm really excited to hear, your answer to this because I probably need to take some pointers from you, balancing it all. Being a part-time student, working, being a part of LABA, how do you get to know the community further and, understanding those different diverse perspectives?
And the father of three. So it's
Right, dad too.
it's honestly a lot, and I'm gonna be completely transparent. And so for me, coming from Capitol Hill world, I mean it's in DC, been here for 10 years. My life revolves around networking, and so I feed off of that. So I think Coral, you hit on one of the things that I'm really passionate about, which is kegs. As a part-time student, we have class from 6:30 and forward, and so it's oftentimes really hard for us to get on campus. But that fits very nicely. Kegs is in usually later in the afternoon, so it's like a nice transition. You go to Kegs, you socialize with people from different perspectives, and a lot of my good friends attend, and I try to make it a goal of mine to at least get to know one person. And I'm really good about like kind of breaking the ice. So I like just going around the room, and so that do that for like an hour and then go to class. And so oftentimes for me, staying social and connecting with classmates has been one through the student ambassador program. And so it just getting to know my fellow ambassadors, but I get to meet with cool people from all over the world and through a lot of the events that we do, and that to me is it's just it's a great time. And the other thing also is that I will highlight is that as a part-time student, since we have more finite time, it's a lot of the friends or a lot of the study groups that we have formed, it's they've turned into like really good friendships. So like apart from the academic side of it, like we make it a point to like, oh, let's go do dinner after like the project, or let's do this and that. And I've gotten to learn a lot of my classmates that way as well, who are, who bring different unique perspectives from not just the United States, but from all over the world. So it's, as a part-time student, that's how I try to balance it out. So yeah.
That sounds like a good balance. So I think I'm going to put that pointer in my back pocket and I'm going to keep that. So thank you so much for that, Tomas. And that's a kind of a good segue into my next question. So thinking about all of your interactions with your club mates, your classmates from different cultural and professional backgrounds, how does that influence your global business perspective, thinking about the challenges and opportunities, knowing these different individuals having these different conversations, they're from different walks of life. How does that pretty much kind of influence your perspective on global business? Let's start with you, Coral.
Wow, that's a really good question. I really have to think about that. But I wanted to share a little bit more about like on the side of an international student. I don't think this will answer a question, but that just like pop out on my head when you like
Yeah.
asked the question. I just wanted to say I feel like Georgetown is really a really inclusive like environment and a safe environment. So I would say in my first year, I was really nervous, like coming here as an international student, having like the cultural and also the language barrier. But I feel like everyone is very inclusive, during the class or out of the class, especially I really love when like Thomas mentioned like the study group. I also like made really good friends from my study group. And I think the reason is because they are really like patient or like even like curious, listen to your background, like they wanted to learn more about like, like Taiwan or like Asia cultures. And I just feel like it's really an inclusive like environment that I like gain more confidence in myself. And I wanted to tie back to your question, but just really wanted to share that piece, like about like my experience, like coming into Georgetown was a really safe environment, and like peers who are really eager to understand about your different perspective and different background. I'm
Oh, I
sorry,
love
can
that.
you
Thank you.
like?
Yeah, no worries. I think that did answer the question in your own way. That was actually perfect. Because when you think about it, you're coming to a space, you don't know if they're going to be people like you or whatever the case may be, but there are individuals like you and individuals who are open to knowing individuals like yourself and learning about it. I think that's really cool, and being able to have conversations with individuals from different nationalities and backgrounds, I think is really, really valuable. Michael, can we hear from you about, your interaction with like your club mates or your classmates from different cultural and professional backgrounds, and how does that influence your perspective on global business challenges and opportunities?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess the perspective that I'd like to share is this perspective where of a class that I'm taking, and how that sort of maybe answers the question that you're asking. So this semester we've had like exchange students come from other business schools to Georgetown, and some students from Georgetown going to other business schools around the world. And so just to highlight there that like the diversity of the perspectives that you have in class, it just doesn't like end with the people that you start the program with, but like even as the program goes along, you'll still enjoy some additional benefits of a diverse perspective because of that exchange element where you have folks from other countries come to class with you and learn with you together. And this mod, I have been fortunate to work with like two of the exchange students on like group projects. One of them's from Denmark, and I believe the other one's from, I want to say, Brazil. I think like the experiences, like just working with them, and one of the projects that we worked on was for the Danish embassy, right? And so like it was a sustainability, like Denmark is like a leading light when it comes to like renewable energy and like sustainability and like all these sort of alternative sources of energy. And so having like a student from Denmark on this project where we're working for the Danish embassy was like really insightful. There were lots of perspectives that, they were able to bring to the work that we were doing. And that just really opened my eyes to, I had no idea like how cool Denmark was. And now I want to visit. Now I want to see how sort of these energy, renewable energy businesses are operating and doing work in that part of the world. And the idea of this project that we're working on was to try to bring some of those experiences and benefits to the US as well. And so just like really tinkering with these different business models, and how do we adapt them into the US context, given that, the landscape in Denmark is very different than the landscape in, say, Clayton, North Carolina. And it's like, how do you get people in there to sort of buy into this idea of like renewable energy and things like that? And that was pretty exciting. And that has sort of influenced like my thinking around business a lot, and how you can do so much better when you're leading a business or trying to do a business, when you expand your perspective and see like what works from not just your immediate community, but from like halfway around the world, and what people are doing and how that can make your life back home even better.
That's awesome because just kind of getting that experience just broaden your horizon. Like it introduces you to so much more outside of what you already know, and it's super exciting. Thank you for that. Now, my next question is, what opportunities does McDonough have to participate in, global study tours or like exchange programs, thinking about treks? Tomas, let's hear from you.
Yeah, and just to go back to the last point that Michael made, you made some awesome points, and just to build off of that, it's like the world is not a monolith. It's not a one size fits all. So, like one product might work in one market or in, abroad, but it might not work here, and vice versa. And then there's also like the political dynamic of it. It's like, renewable energy might work for one party in the United States, but it might not work other than same thing. So I think like the awesome thing, we're kids at a candy store when it comes to like the different individuals, the different cultures that we have here at McDonough School of Business. So I love it so much, and that's one of the things that drew me to Georgetown. So just wanted to hit on that point real quick.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and so with now I briefly mentioned already, one of the ways that when it comes to like different cultural events or treks, I'm gonna go back and say, for Japan, we had my fellow classmate Yumi. She set up. She's a co-president of the Japanese club, and so she set up this awesome itinerary. It was like a trip of my lifetime, and where she built out very specific items, not just to go and talk to businesses there, but also to do exchanges with the local students there. And that was arguably like one of my favorite parts. And um, you know, while some of this there was a language barrier, but it wasn't enough to kind of detract us from like really socializing, having a good time, and connecting with them, hearing, about their opinions, and that turned into like, you know, into friendships. And so I'm still messaging friends from that trip and that I met
Nice.
there, and it's just one of those things where it's like I sat in a previous panel, and I don't she graduated last year, but she said as a third year at the time, one of her biggest regrets is not going on more treks, because not only you can visit a lot of these countries like, on your own or with friends, but when you really have something built out that's sanctioned by the school, that not only has like an academic side of it, but it also has cultural competency built into it, and things that where you get to learn new traditions and even experience it firsthand, is just like out of this world. So highly recommend it.
Nice. Thank you, Tomas. Coral or Michael, you want to hop in there and let us know any other opportunities that we have to participate in any global study, any treks or like exchange programs?
Yeah, that was amazing, Thomas. Like I kind of regret I didn't go on the Japan track. Well, to be honest, I haven't had the opportunity to really go on track, but what I heard from people, it's like amazing because you got a chance to like what just Thomas mentioned, like only have the chance to go on like the culture like sightseeing or like exploring different like cultural um like cuisine, but also like they kind of plan to meet with like the local business or like the big company in that country. So you got a chance to like even talk to the people there or even like alumni to networking with them. I know there's a like Chinese China track coming up that's going to, I think, different big city, and there will be like going to see the panda. I might look into that information more, but I think that's a great opportunity because I think that is probably the first time, correct me if I'm wrong, the first time we have a China track. And what I wanted to mention, like what global opportunity it's about, like the GBE program. I'm actually super excited about that. So everyone probably already know about the GBE program. It's just I think it's a great opportunity. Although we haven't go on it yet, but what I heard from the alumni, it's really a great chance that you got like a semester or a module to work with like the local business to help them to consult their project or to just to help them with any of like the strategy planning. And then you got a 1 week to really visit the clients there. And then also there will be a lot of like cultural stuffs to do there, meeting a lot of alumni or meeting like local friends there.
Awesome. Michael, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I think we covered it all.
Awesome.
GBE, definitely looking forward to that. So excited.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. So, what leadership qualities do you all believe are essential for navigating the complexities of international business? Who wants to go first?
I can go first.
I saw you come off mute.
Yeah, I think the one thing that is super important is it doesn't seem so much like a business skill, but I think it's humility. It's just like if you're gonna navigate like spaces across the world that you're not familiar with, I think it's really helpful to approach it with a sense of like humility and like an open mind where the attitude that you have is, I want to learn and I want to figure out how I can be the most helpful in this sort of situation. And then also next to that would be to recognize that, and I think this is a bias that we have at Georgetown. It's like every time that you're thinking about business, you're not just thinking about shareholders, you're thinking about stakeholders, right?
Yep.
It's like you're not just thinking about, am I gonna give like a really large profit margin to the investors in this business? And is that going to make them happy and then give me more money to go do more stuff? But it's also like, how can I do business in a way that doesn't cause harm and that actually leaves people better off? And I think that's a core part of the mindset that you develop at Georgetown, because on the one hand, while you're learning about finance and accounting and discounted cash flows and NPVs and all that stuff, because that stuff is really important, like you're also learning like ethical leadership and like negotiation and like creating win-win situations, not just for yourself, but for everybody else who's kind of involved. And I think that mindset is especially important in the world that we live in today, if you want to do business across the world. Because as you do business, you want it to be sustainable, right? You don't want it to be like a one-off thing, like a zero-sum game. You win now and then that's it. But like you want to do it and keep doing it. And the only way that you're going to be successful in doing it like over the long term and being sustainable is if the people that you're doing it with feel like they can continue to do business with you, like they feel like they can trust you and that you're not just, in it for the money. And I think that's a really important mindset to have.
That was really awesome. Knowing how to do good business, good for business overall, but good for those stakeholders, those consumers to trust you and the brand or what you are putting out there into the world. Coral or Tomas, do you want to add anything to that? What leadership qualities do you believe are essential for navigating the complexities of international business?
I just, I mean, cultural competency, but Michael, I mean, you said it right, and I think just to briefly add to what he just said, and he referenced ethical leadership, one of my favorite classes that I've taken so far. We just wrapped it up, and so one of my favorite quotes that we talked about was like, true leaders rush to empathy and crawl to judgment. And so making sure that, we're empathetic and understanding that, not everybody's the same and that we handle pressure differently from one another. So keeping that as mind as, we talk in Georgetown about the person as a whole. And so I think that's very essential.
Thank you, Coral.
Yeah. Yeah, I really agree with both of you. And also ethical leadership. It's what I wanted to mention. 100% agree with what Michael said. Just wanted to add on a little bit of another quality that I think it's kind of important, like curiosity. Like if you stay curious about like different like global aspect or like perspective, or even just curious about what other like global business is doing. Um, I think that's kind of a leadership that makes you to be more understanding about like diverse perspective of also like give you more opportunity for you to wanted to understand more like global like mindset. So I would say I think curiosity, it's like just wanted to add on that, yeah.
Thank you. And I know you guys spoke a lot about, initiatives and events, to kind of bring in that global perspective. You mentioned KEGS, you mentioned other events as well, Global Fest. But is there anything specific that your clubs are doing that is up and coming or just did, that showcase the importance of global perspectives in business? Anything specific that your clubs are doing?
Yeah, so we are going to host a alumni or like slash career panel that we are going to invite like Asians alumni back to school, and then to share their experience in um like recruiting jobs for like of course the student in APSA and in Georgetown MBA. However, how we can showcase from our side to like the local student about like our global perspective. I think um one of the like highlight from our upcoming career panel is that we are going to invite someone who is doing international rotation program. And I think that it's kind of special and different, but that's also a really, I feel like it's kind of a new track of like the MBA graduate that go on an international rotation rules. So I think that's really special, because I think from an international rotation role, you probably would go on Asia and America, and also like maybe Europe. And I think if we invite like that kind of like alumni back to school to share about those experience, they will have like experience in like working in the like different countries and different regions, and also a chance for them to share about like this new like program or like new rules for more like for like us international students to know about this rule, and also tell us about like more about like how can we apply to this, what kind of perspective, what kind of like abilities that we need to prepare ourselves to apply for those kind of jobs.
Awesome. Thank you. And that's really helpful to kind of know like, hey, what direction should I go into? How should I approach these type of positions and roles? That's really important. Tomas, do you
Yeah.
guys have any upcoming like events or anything really fun that just happened in Laba?
So I know that usually around this time they schedule a Dia de los Muertos towards the end of the month. So I'm looking forward to that. And so I need to connect with my with my leadership from Laba. And so that's one of the few things I was tracking right now. But then again, I just wish it was a little bit more active. As a part-time student, it's a little harder to
Yeah.
really be as active. And in a perfect world, I would actually maybe run for position, but I just don't have the bandwidth.
Believe me, I understand that much. Awesome. Michael, how about you? Is there anything cool up and coming or anything that just happened that the club is doing?
So plans are in the works. put together like another large event like we had last year, where we bring together like African business leaders to share, perspectives on, how business has been shaped on continent right now. Will likely happen in the spring. So something to keep an eye out for.
Awesome, thank you. And I know we have like a few minutes left in our session, but I do like have some kind of like wrap up questions for our conversations, and I definitely want to get, your whole full answer on these because I think it's definitely helpful for our audience, applying for MBA programs, finding that right community, being from, another country or being from a different culture or, just having that comfortability to kind of open up and find their space and, understanding why Georgetown could definitely be that place for them. So, what advice can you offer prospective students, and what do you wish you had known or done differently, thinking about applying to MBA programs and, coming into it? Um, what advice can you offer individuals on the call with us today? We could start with you, Coral.
Wow, okay. That's a really great question. I would say my advice, join the regional club. That is just an amazing experience during my first year. I joined APSA, and the reason is kind of because I mean, for most of the like regional or like different country student, they have their own like clubs. The reason that APSA is established is because we have like Japan Society, China Club, Korean Club, or um yeah, I think that's it for the Asian, and we are kind of the rest of the Asian. So I feel like this is a really engaging community that we kind of bond everyone together. And then I think yeah, just join the club. There's like plenty of different opportunities to meet new people, and like we have also like planned a lot of like cultural events that we like have some like Asian food, make you feel like home. And in terms of what I wish would have known or done differently, I would say this is more on a recruiting side, but I probably will like start reach out to someone who is from my hometown, um, and then reach out to them to do a coffee chat. I would say when I mentioned that Georgetown MBA, it's really inclusive. It's in my experience when you reach out to someone on LinkedIn or like any alumni, like they never say no. Like even though they have graduated for like a couple of years, they are always like very willing to help. And what I done differently during my second semester in my first year, it's I reach out to more students or alumni who's like from Taiwan or like from Asia. I think they will provide you really a lot more like opportunities in terms of like recruiting as an international student. So I would suggest if you're an international student, you can probably like do that earlier. Reach out to someone who is from your home country.
Thank you, Coral. Let's hear from you, Tomas. Is there any advice you can offer to the individuals on our call today, and what do you wish you had known or done differently?
From the part-time student perspective, I will say this, that when when I applied to Georgetown, I thought I had a perception of business school that it was going to be really cutthroat, that everybody's going to try to kill each other and try to get the best grades in class. But my experience has been anything but that. And so I think community is just awesome. So there were a few students throughout the year that lost their jobs, and right away people were really helpful. Our fellow students, like people want to help you, people want to help see you succeed. They want to uplift you. So whenever you're in a situation, and not just with job loss, but just like even on the personal stuff, like like I in my experience at least, like people want to help, and so don't be afraid to ask for help. And that's one of my biggest recommendations. And people want to listen, and they want to, it's like a big family. And so I would just say that, and don't be afraid to use the resources as well at school. There's so many awesome events that we have. There's one that I missed out on yesterday that I really wanted to go to. We have so much access to awesome speakers, information. And so also I think just like when it comes down to it, like try to I often like when it comes to like extracurriculars with the school or like there's like happy hours that are even sometimes ran by the students, like even if you're a little tired, you're like, oh, I want to go home. Like
Right.
go out and network, go
Yeah.
because you just never know, right? Like I have major FOMO, and but at the same time, I got to balance that with the kids, and so I always
Yeah.
text my wife like, hey, I'm gonna go to this event. Is that cool? And she's really cool about it. But yeah, it's I think like just taking advantage of that because they are we are each other's network, and so we're gonna be in each other's lives for a very long time. So you might as well cultivate relationships on the organic basis, not just when you need something from them.
Thank you, Thomas. I can definitely relate to that. Like, there's always something happening. Like, okay, I would love to make it to this. Let me kind of like call and check it. Like, look, can I just spare? Can you spare a couple of hours? So I definitely understand that. And Coral, I've heard that before about our alumni. Reaching out on a LinkedIn or other channels and how open they are to have conversations and have coffee chats and things like that. And then Michael, let's hear from you. What advice can you offer prospective students? Um, and what do you wish you had known or done differently?
In terms of advice, I would say be authentic. Um, don't try to be somebody that you're not. Don't try to fit into a mold of what you think that, the business school environment expects you to be.
I think you froze. Michael, where did you go? Awesome. Let's see if we can get Michael back. Looks like it froze.
Or the
Yes. I think we have some freezing issues. Is anyone else seeing that?
All good on my end.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
Awesome.
thought it,
Well, let's
I thought it was
have Michael
definitely.
hop back in. Probably has some connection issues, so no worries. It definitely does happen. Um, but
I'm
awesome.
sorry, can you hear
Y-
me?
Loud and
Yes,
clear.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I
Here you
got
go.
dropped off
Sorry.
from the call. I don't know what happened. But I
Sorry,
was
you're
just
back.
saying, be
We can
authentic
hear you.
and bring. Um, and then I think finally, in terms of stuff that I would do differently, there's so much to do on campus. Like there's so many events, so many programs. Like there's it's way too much. You can't possibly do everything. And so recognizing the power of your calendar to schedule stuff and also recognizing the power to say no so that you don't like stretch yourself too thin and then burn out. I think it's also really important. So it's about finding a right balance between taking advantage of all the opportunities that you have. And to be honest, like some of it might not be just that interesting to you and what you're trying to accomplish and your goals. And don't let FOMO get you to like do every single thing, right? So find the right balance, be engaged, do stuff, make sure you're a part of the community, but also don't overdo it so that you don't burn out.
I agree. Thank you all so much. That was great advice. Some definitely I'm going to take now to use as well. And I hope our listeners are, taking some notes and appreciate your perspective here today. We are at time for this particular session. So thank you so much for joining us for the McDonough Global Perspective Student Panel. And I'm going to pass it along.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael, Coral, and Tomas.
Thank you all. Thank you, Brianne, for hosting, moderating this session. Students, thank you so much for sharing your valuable perspective and helping these prospective students learn from you and your experiences. And I hope they feel inspired by your journeys at Georgetown so far. So everyone, we have made it to the point of closing remarks. Now we still have Hoya huddles to come, so don't log off yet. And my colleague Rhonda is going to set that up. But I just wanted to take a moment and reflect on the day, on this experience, and also thank you for your time. I know you all are dialing in from all over the world. You likely needed to pull away from work or other things that could be taking up your time, but yet you made the choice to spend it with us at Georgetown. And I hope you found it to be worthwhile. You know, again, the purpose of this day is to give you a sense of what does our community and impact look like from a variety of perspectives. You got to hear from the career team, several current students, from our partners, from the admissions committee, thinking about our global initiatives, our extracurriculars, our new curriculum. You know, we tried to really pack this day full to help you make an informed decision on moving forward with us at Georgetown. So again, I thank you for your time. I do want to share some links in the chat about how you can keep engaging with us. So the first link I'm going to share for anyone who is local and wants to continue on this event road with us, we are hosting this same themed event tomorrow on campus, but different agenda. It's completely unique so that people who are able to attend both days get added value from both. So I just dropped in the chat the registration link for tomorrow's event if you're willing and able. And then also I want to share ways to connect with us more intimately in a one-on-one. So this page shares all ways to connect with us, including all of our events up top, but then you can connect with our current students via text chat or setting up conversations with them. Same with the admissions team at the bottom. So lots of ways to continue engaging with us, to continue to become more informed, and to continue for us to get to know you as well. So please keep this momentum, and hopefully I'll see some of you in person tomorrow on campus. So thanks again for your time, your interest in Georgetown, and I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Rhonda Remy.
Thank you, Anne. All right, so we are moving into our Hoya Huddles part of the event, and thank you all, whoever's been here from the beginning. Thank you for sticking it through all the way to the end. But this is an opportunity for you to have coffee-like chats with some of our student ambassadors, all coming from different areas. So one specifically talking about the international student experience for anyone that's on the call that identifies as an international student. Anyone that had interest in joining or applying through the consortium, we have a specific Hoya huddle for that. And for our working professionals, everyone that's looking to go into our programs part-time, whether it be in our Flex MBA in person or our Flex online MBA, you'll have a chance to understand, like Tomas mentioned, how do you manage all the things that is just Georgetown, but then also family, friends, and just other things like work, right? So this is an opportunity for you to ask questions, be candid if you can, student ambassadors. But then, you know, once we're done, around 2 minutes or so, you'll see a something pop up that the broadcast or the breakout rooms will quickly end. So again, thank you so much for joining us today. If you are able to join us tomorrow, please, you know, register if you haven't done so already. And to all of the staff that are here today on the call, thank you so much for, you know, the execution of this event, but then overall, just sharing your experiences and making sure that this event went seamless as possible. And to our student ambassadors, Kayleen, Michael, and Fola that are here, I am assigning you to your rooms now, and I am about to launch it. And I thank you again for participating in this event as well. So one moment, please, as I open all the rooms. And please feel free, participants, to just join whichever breakout room or Hoya huddle you resonate with or would like to learn more about. Awesome. I see people going in. Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone who's logging off. Thank you for joining. If you need support joining a breakout room, please let me know in the chat and I can assign you to whichever breakout room you want to learn more from. Monique, Arian, Sumed, Yogi, do you need help going into any of the breakout rooms?